Chapter 1763. Su Fang's overall strength. Countless big goblin in the ancient Fey world searched every inch of the ancient Fey world but could not find Su Fang. Finally, they found the place where the world's origin was sealed. 9 Truths and 9 Sons, Chapter 1782. Not long after Law disappeared from the galaxy formed by the world origin of the ancient Fey world, 1,000-foot-long pangolin came to the world origin seal. This pangolin big goblin was covered in rock-like scales and exuded a majestic earth elemental power of nature. Its strength was at the peak of the Fey Arch level and was only one step away from becoming a Fey overlord. Suddenly Chi. However, how powerful was Law's primordial spirit? Under Law's primordial spirit attack, the pangolin big goblin, which was considered a peerless expert in the ancient Fey world, could not resist at all. Its primordial spirit was instantly destroyed by Law. Law floated out of the void and said helplessly, "It's just a small Fey. I can only make do with it." Whoosh! Law turned into a bloody light and penetrated the pangolin's body through its 7 orifices and skin. Chi. The pangolin big goblin's body emitted wisps of blood energy. Its body quickly shriveled and withered until it finally turned into blood energy. Boom! The blood energy suddenly burned as if it was being smelted in a fire. A physical form of Law appeared. At this moment, Law was no longer an primordial spirit but an Azura with flesh and blood. However, this physical body had no skin. Its flesh and meridians were exposed and its blood was squirming. It looked terrifying. Law's eyes flashed with a blood-red light as he looked inside the galaxy formed by the world origin's essence. His gaze fell on the true dragon realm that had turned into a speck of dust. This wasn't possession, but an innate ability of the Azura gods. The Shura was the same as the night demon, a special existence in the world. They cultivated and grew stronger by consuming the blood of creatures. As long as they had blood, the Shura's lifespan would be limitless. Luo didn't have a physical body. He burned his primordial spirit and fused it with the big goblin's blood chi to form a physical body. Although he could use the Azura divine race's powerful abilities, he had to pay a heavy price. As the power of the physical body was consumed, the power of the Yuan spirit would be consumed as well. Furthermore, the source of the Yuan spirit would be consumed. Once it was consumed, it would be very difficult to recover. Once the source of the primordial spirit was exhausted, Luo, who was almost immortal, would die completely. It was precisely because of this scruple that Law didn't use his Azura innate ability when fighting against Sang Han and forefather Tianming. In order not to interfere with Su Fang, who was at a critical moment, Law threw caution to the wind. In the sky of the 10,000 demons' ancient world, the commotion caused by Law's killing of the big goblin couldn't escape the Blood River Lord's senses. The Blood River Lord smiled coldly. The great Azura King is using the blood of the great world's lowly big goblin to refine his physical body. What a disgrace to the Azura god! You didn't hesitate to consume the source of your primordial spirit to refine the big goblin's blood essence. It seems like you've reached the end of your road and are planning to make a last stand. The powerhouses of my clan have exhausted all means, but they couldn't kill you. They could only separate your primordial spirit from your physical body. Since you're seeking death, how can I not fulfill your wish? Let's see how much source you can consume. The Azura King of the past will end in my hands today. The Blood River Lord's blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent, as well as intense cruelty and smugness. Then, the Blood River Lord coldly shouted at the wolf demon. That human cultivator is hiding in the seal of the ancient demon world's world origin. Drag him out. I'll cleanse your body and give you a chance to break through the demigod realm and become a supreme demon god. Thank you, my lord. The wolf demon was pleasantly surprised. His eyes flashed with excitement and brutality, and he immediately issued an order to the demon race in the ancient demon world. Whoosh! Whoosh, whoosh. Countless big goblins surged into the depths of the ground. Law began a bloody massacre outside the seal of the world. The bloody light, filled with an aura of carnage, swept forward, and the blood energy of the formidable great Yaos were instantly devoured. Law's body gradually became real, as if it was condensed from countless drops of blood. The blood on his body surged, emitting a terrifying killing intent. Right now, Law was a true Azura. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The immortal demon monsters, undead lords, and Gue all flew out of the true dragon world and arrived outside the seal of the world. The dragon bird stayed by Su Fang's side. "I'll leave this place to you," Law shouted coldly, then charged toward the outside of the ancient demon world. Su Fang had the immortal demon monsters, undead lords, Gue and the dragon bird by his side. Even if a demigod expert came, they would be defeated. As long as Law stopped the Blood River Lord, no one could do anything to Su Fang. Law flew out of the ground. His eyes, burning with evil flames, swept across the wolf demon and the other demon race experts. God! Another Azura expert! The wolf demon and the other demon race experts did not expect that Su Fang would have such a powerful and evil expert by his side. They were all shocked and horrified. "Leave this person to me. You guys find that human cultivator. Remember, I want him alive," the Blood River Lord said sternly to the big goblin, then slowly flew toward Law. The wolf demon and the other peerless big goblin heaved a sigh of relief. In front of the gods of the myriad worlds, they were a bunch of weak chickens, pigs, and sheep. And in front of them, the human cultivator that the Blood River Lord was looking for was naturally a weak chicken. At least, that was how it looked to them. "Trash King, you'd rather burn your origin source than be sealed again?" The Blood River Lord looked down at Law. He was high and mighty, as if he was looking down on the common people of the earth. "You're just a slaughter clone of Blood River. What right do you have to speak to this king like that?" Law Weiran said. Then, he flashed out. His murderous aura exploded, and he clashed with the Blood River Lord in the air. In an instant, the entire demon ancient realm turned into hell. Evil and ferocious auras filled the air, and the murderous aura covered the sky. Although Law had an extremely powerful primordial spirit, his physical body was too weak to withstand the powerful divine powers of the Azura divine clan. In less than half an hour, his physical body shattered. "Let me borrow your blood." Law smiled sinisterly and pounced toward the big goblin on the ground. The power of his primordial spirit turned into a bloody mist and swept across the area. A demon overlord and countless big goblins were instantly swallowed up by the bloody mist. In the end, a bloody flame burned and reformed Law's physical body. Then, it charged toward the Blood River Lord without hesitation. The Blood River Lord wanted to consume Law's primordial spirit origin source, so he calmly clashed with Law. As for Su Fang, who hadn't appeared yet, the Blood River Lord didn't care at all. After killing Law, he could just kill him directly. There was no need to care too much. He just had to be careful and prevent him from escaping again. The old man transformed from the wolf demon led the big goblin to the seal of the demon ancient realm excitedly. "Find that human cultivator. Remember, don't kill him. I want to use him to become a supreme demon god," the wolf demon said majestically. Its demon chi condensed into flames that burned on its body. It was majestic and domineering. In the wolf demon's eyes, killing a human cultivator was a piece of cake. As long as it killed Su Fang, the wolf demon, who had lost all hope of breaking through, would have a chance to become a supreme demon god. How could the wolf demon not be excited? "Kill!" The immortal demon monster's cold voice suddenly sounded. Then, it attacked at the same time as the undead lord. The immortal demon monster wielded its demonic saber. Sharp demonic energy that could break through the heavens tore through the depths of the earth. With a flash of demonic light, the wolf monster that had just transformed into a giant wolf had one of its claws cut off. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as the wolf demon was screaming in shock, the second primordial spirit shot out from the immortal demon monster's head. It activated the Dark Valley Origin Pearl and released a shocking primordial spirit divine aura that enveloped the wolf demon. This wolf demon of the demon ancient realm had existed for countless years. Its strength was at the level of a demigod. However, under such a terrifying primordial spirit attack, its divine aperture shook and its big goblin body trembled. Whoosh! The second primordial spirit resided in the stone-like runes and instantly broke through the wolf demon's primordial spirit defense. With the wolf demon's divine aperture as the battlefield, a shocking battle began. The undead lord was like a death god descending. He activated the sky-burying coffin. Death chi exploded like a flood, engulfing the big goblin one after another. Gui Gui was even more terrifying. After transforming into blood water, it kept devouring the lives of the big goblin. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, Bai Ling, the green-feathered demon emperor, and the other big goblins were also released from the true dragon realm by one of Su Fang's bloodwater clones. Li Haojie activated the demon transformation tower, which created a series of thunderous booms. It was specially designed to counter the demon's thunder sound and caused the wolf demon's primordial spirit consciousness to become chaotic. Then, blood-red lightning descended from the demon transformation tower and turned into chains that seeped into the wolf demon's body. The wolf demon struggled for a while under the attack of Li Haojie and the second primordial spirit. Although it was unwilling and desperate, it was eventually sucked into the demon transformation tower by Li Haojie. The demon race that had aggressively charged into the depths of the demon ancient realm were all killed in a short time. Even the strongest demon of the demon ancient realm was suppressed. I still underestimated this low-level existence. He actually has so many top experts of the great worlds around him. The Blood River Lord did not expect Su Fang's subordinates to be so powerful that they could easily suppress a demigod. I order all demigod cultivators of the ancient immortal demon battlefield to come to the demon ancient realm. Otherwise, I will not let them off easily. The Blood River Lord separated his palms. 5 blood-red lights shot out from his palms. They turned into phantoms of the Blood River Lord and disappeared into the void. The Blood River Lord saw that Su Fang's subordinates were so powerful. He was also entangled with law and could not leave. He planned to gather all the demigod experts of the ancient immortal demon battlefield to suppress Su Fang. Chapter 1764. After a period of silence, Su Fang's Heaven and Earth Dao Palace finally had some movement. Boom! The yin-yang Dao wheel formed by 54 yang meridians and the world tree connected to the first yang meridian suddenly contracted and released a huge suction force. Su Fang's vital qi, emperor's qi, demon qi, and devil qi in his origin golden core circulated through his meridians and surged into the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. Together with the yang qi in the yang meridian, they surged into the world tree. Then, the power of the world of yin and yang erupted from the world tree and circulated in the yang meridian. It wasn't just Su Fang's vital qi and other energies. Su Fang's vital qi, vitality, and various constitutions built on the foundation of a perfect physical body. Formless golden dipper body, water-type true body, black lotus true body, dragon-subduing true body, fire cloud emperor body, thunder punishment true body, and the earth-type abilities formed by extinguishing earth, including the purple cloud's Dharma spirit and the Xian Huang's 6 paths pagoda, all surged into the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. Then, the yin and yang Dharma powers in Su Fang's divine aperture ocean and his primordial spirit also entered the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. In an instant, Su Fang's physical body was completely sucked dry, leaving only an empty shell. In other words, his physical body and primordial spirit didn't exist in the real world, but had merged into the Heaven and Earth Dao Palace. After absorbing Su Fang, The heaven and earth Tao palace continued to shrink, shrink, and shrink. A mysterious power formed by the 9 Yang transformation and 9 Yin transformation merged and compressed Su Fang's vital qi, primordial spirit, and all his vital qi and the world tree until they were infinitely small and turned into nothingness, brewing the birth of a new world. Su Fang's consciousness also awakened. I've entered the 6th transformation of the 9 Yang 9 transformations and cultivated Yin and Yang with Senior Shu Wanjin. The power of the 9 Yang and the power of the 9 Yin merged, causing my world to transform. I wonder what the world that's about to be born will be like? Sensing the wonderful state at this moment, Su Fang fell into a deep shock. After a moment of contemplation, Su Fang came to a sudden realization. The birth of the world still requires the time it takes to burn an incense stick. Once my inner world is born, I can use my world power to activate a portion of the primordial sacred mirror's power. It's too late. Luo can't hold on for the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. We have to be quick. Su Fang's heart was anxious. Ah Zi, help me! There was a moment of silence. In the void, a purple light suddenly exploded, and a mysterious purple gas filled the void space inside Su Fang's body. It turned out that it was the purple cloud magical spirit that had merged with the world. At this moment, it released a supreme power, bestowing the Su Fang world with supreme heavenly Tao luck, speeding up the birth of the world. Not fast enough. Luo, you have to hold on. Su Fang felt like he was outside the real world. He could see everything that was happening in the ancient demon world, but he could not change anything. He could not help but feel anxious. Boom, boom, boom. After a series of earth-shattering clashes, Luo's physical body was shattered once again. His primordial spirit was revealed, but it looked much weaker. The Blood River Lord laughed savagely. My tribe's crippled king, if this continues, your primordial spirit will collapse, and you will cease to exist. Kneel and submit to me, and I will let you continue to struggle at death's door. Ha ha ha. Blood River Lord, have you forgotten how you knelt at this king's feet like a dog and licked my toes to obtain the title of Blood River Lord? Luo laughed loudly, full of disdain and arrogance. The Blood River Lord's eyes burned with bloody flames. Crippled king, since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Burn your primordial spirit, merge with the blood of those low-level existences from the great worlds, and fight to the death with me. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Several figures appeared in the sky above the ancient demon world. There were a total of 6 figures, all of them exuding an aura of nothingness. They had all reached the level of a demigod. They were the top existences from the overlords of the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, who had received orders from the Blood River Lord. Of the 2 resurrected demon experts, one of them was Mingon, who had been severely injured during the Great War of Immortals and Demons. The other was a resurrected female cultivator with a face as beautiful as a flower. A demigod expert from each of the demon and demon clans had appeared. They were peerless big goblin and ancient demons who had existed for tens of thousands of years. There were also 2 human cultivators. One of them was a middle-aged man who looked like an iron tower, while the other was an old man who looked like a piece of rotten wood. His entire body exuded a withered aura, and it was obvious that he was on the verge of death. The tyrant Blood Supremacy, who was the closest to the ancient demon world, did not appear. Whoever can kill Su Fang, I will grant him the opportunity to become a god. The Blood River Lord offered the 6 demigod experts an irresistible offer. Su Fang's head is mine. No one can take it away. The iron tower-like man grinned. Like a ferocious beast bearing its fangs, he pounced towards the ground. An ant-like existence wants to kill Su Fang? Let's see if this king agrees. Law turned into a ray of bloody light and instantly traversed through space. He covered the strong man's body and sizzled into it. After a burst of bloody flames, the strong man's body disappeared. Law swallowed him, and refined him into a new body. This scene caused the other resurrected experts to be incomparably shocked, and they retreated one after another. The Blood River Lord did not stop Law. He waited until Law reformed his body before he smiled coldly at the remaining 5 demigod experts. "Leave this person to me. You guys go and capture Su Fong. It's best if you can capture him alive. If you can't, it's fine to kill him. However, leave his body for me. I have great use for it." "Su Fong, to think that you would have such a day!" Mingon roared like a wild beast. His body emitted a strong demonic aura and death aura as he charged towards the ground. Su Fong instigated a war between the demon race and the resurrected experts, causing the plan to fail. Mingon himself was also heavily injured. If it wasn't for the supreme evil will, he would have died on the spot. Naturally, his hatred for Su Fong was monstrous. "My lord, I heard that Su Fong has a pure yang body. If we capture him alive, I don't want to become a god. I only want you to reward me with a few days of pleasure." The resurrected female cultivator licked her lip. Her eyes were filled with greed and desire. The Blood River Lord said majestically, "Sure. Thank you, my lord." The resurrected female cultivator let out a string of crisp laughter and followed Mingon. "Capture Su Fong alive. The Xianming Thunder Seal belongs to the demon race. This old man will search Su Fong's soul and obtain his cultivation method and divine ability. Demon God, I want to become a supreme demon god." The other demigod experts also proposed their own conditions. They wanted to divide up Su Fong like pigs and sheep. After receiving the Blood River Lord's confirmation, they went straight to where Su Fong was. "Trash King, didn't you burn your primordial spirit to fight with me to stall me so that I won't attack Su Fong? Let's continue." When Luo Pin wanted to stop them, he was stopped by the Blood River Lord. Luo went completely crazy. He burned his primordial spirit recklessly. The Blood River Lord was also frightened. He had to concentrate all his will to fight Luo. 2 powerhouses of the Azura Divine clan were engaged in an earth-shattering battle in the demon's abyss. Monstrous killing intent shook the sky. The space shattered, and the natural energy of heaven and earth shook violently. The ground of the 10,000 demons' ancient world shattered. Countless big goblin died a violent death. While the battle was going on in the sky, the top experts of the great world were also fighting in the depths of the 10,000 demons' ancient world. Huge explosions came from the ground. The ground shattered and the world origin was revealed. The area within 100,000 miles turned into a space of chaotic energy. The second primordial spirit lived in the body of the immortal demon monster. It activated the demonic saber and the Dark Valley Vital Orb. It exploded with amazing strength and fought with the demon clan expert. It suppressed the ancient demon. The undead king activated the sky-burying coffin and fought with the demonic resurrected female cultivator. The undead king's strength was not yet at the demigod level. He could barely hold the resurrected female cultivator back with the help of the sky-burying coffin. Gue Gue, on the other hand, displayed an incomparably terrifying strength. He clashed with the old human demigod expert, sometimes transforming into a monster like a gluttonous demon, spitting out poison, and sometimes into the yellow spring blood sea. He was strange and difficult to deal with, making it difficult for the old man to escape in a short time. Ming Ba and the Big Goblin went straight for the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world. Li Haojie activated the demon transformation tower and released the blood-red lightning that countered the Big Goblin. However, the gap between him and the demigod expert was too big. Even with the demon transformation tower, a divine artifact that specialized in suppressing the Big Goblin, it could not make up for the gap. The demon transformation tower was sent flying with a swing of its tail. Li Haojie was also affected by the shockwave and spat out blood. Fortunately, the red dragon Big Goblin's target was Su Fong. It did not pursue Li Haojie, so Li Haojie was lucky to escape. Ming-Ba was the first to reach the world origin of the 10,000 demons ancient world. He released demonic qi and death qi, which condensed into a huge grayish-black chain that descended above the world origin. The Lord of Five Poisons, the Green Feathered Demon Emperor, and Bai Ling unleashed all their strength. But they could not resist Ming-Ba's furious attack. They were about to be suppressed by the terrifying chain. Roar! A high-pitched cry suddenly sounded. It was like a dragon's roar and a phoenix's cry. The sound soared into the sky. An astonishing pure yang divine power burst out from the galaxy formed by the world origin. It instantly swept away Ming-Ba's divine power shackles. The shocking divine might made Ming-Ba, a revived expert who didn't know what fear was, instinctively feel the arrival of a fatal threat. His deathly still eyes revealed a look of fear. When the Crimson WYRM abruptly heard this voice, it revealed an expression of terror as well, as if it had encountered a supreme existence at the top of the food chain, and it instinctively wanted to submit and prostrate itself in worship. Chi! A blinding light burst out from the world origin of the 10,000 demons ancient world. Then, the sun god's arrow shot out. Driven by his instinctive fear, Ming-Ba immediately retreated into the void. However, he could not escape the sun god's arrow's lock. The sun god's arrow immediately shot into his chest. Chapter 1765. Ming-Gon was indeed a demigod expert. He was not someone Buddhist Venerable Dongming could be compared to. When he was hit by the sun god arrow released by the dragon bird, he kept using his death aura to forcefully wear down the power of the sun god arrow. However, Ming-Gon was also greatly injured. His aura was extremely weak, and he was on the verge of being seriously injured. The dragon bird's abilities were actually so terrifying after its transformation. Whoosh! The dragon bird flew out from the galaxy formed by the world's origin. It quickly pounced on the scarlet dragon, and started fighting with the scarlet dragon with its sharp claws. The dragon bird's aura contained the aura of the divine dragon and the divine bird. It had an innate deterrent effect on the big goblin. The scarlet dragon could only use about 60 to 70% of its abilities. Under the sun god's arrow and sharp claws of the dragon bird, it was continuously defeated and covered in wounds. However, the dragon bird was also seriously injured. Large patches of feathers fell off, and there were wounds all over its body. Blood flowed like spring water. As the dragon bird's stone egg was a gift from Fairy Xuanxin, and it was born by absorbing Su Fang's yang aura and blood aura, Su Fang had treated it like a son ever since it was born. It had never been injured before. This was the first time it was seriously injured. Ming-Gon watched the battle between the dragon bird and the scarlet dragon big goblin from afar. He did not dare to get too close to the dragon bird. However, he could not give up until he killed Su Fang. If I don't borrow the hands of the Azura divine tribe to eradicate Su Fang, it will be difficult for the supreme evil god to succeed in the great world. No matter what, I have to kill Su Fang. Then, streaks of gray flashed out of Ming-Gon's eyes. They quickly condensed into revived experts in front of him. There were revived cultivators, demons, and big goblin. There were tens of millions of them, and they gathered into an endless sea of deathly aura. The weakest of these revived experts was at the feather immortal realm. There were so many of them that even a demigod expert would have to avoid such a terrifying army. Die! Ming-Gon shouted coldly, and the army of resurrected cultivators charged out majestically. A bunch of corpses want to bully my little brother? This fairy will make you die even more thoroughly. Bai Ling activated his chaos ring and took the initiative to attack. We can die, but Su Fang can't. To be able to participate in the battle between the top experts of the great world, even if I die, it will be worth it. Ha! The green-feathered demon emperor, Li Haojie, and the Lord of Five Poisons followed closely behind Bai Ling. They laughed and charged into the army of resurrected cultivators without hesitation. Whoosh! Whoosh! All the slave masters and big goblin in the true dragon realm were released by Su Fong. At such a critical moment, Su Fong could no longer care about casualties. If he was killed, no one in the true dragon realm would survive. Su Fong's world was about to be born. Su Fong estimated that his world would be born in at most 50 breaths of time. 40 breaths. 30 breaths. In just 20 breaths of time, Su Fong lost more than 1/3 of his slaves and big goblin subordinate. The difference in numbers was too great. Master, I'll leave my family to you. To be able to follow Master and see the infinite wonders of the great world, even death is worth it. If there is a reincarnation, I will still recognize Su Fong as my master. The cultivators and greater demons laughed as they fearlessly and decisively used their fleshly bodies, nascent divinities, and true energy to attack the army of resurrected cultivators. They burned themselves in exchange for dozens or even hundreds of resurrected cultivators. The Green Feathered Demon Emperor, Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, and other powerful big goblins, Li Haojie, the Lord of Five Poisons, and other masters were also injured to varying degrees. Almost all of Li Haojie's 1 million big goblins died in battle. The big goblin with the strength of a demon saint was also seriously injured. The dragon bird was also unable to hold on by itself, and its strength was constantly being consumed by the resurrected powerhouses. Even after paying such a heavy price, it was still difficult to stop the army of resurrected experts. They swept over like a tide. Su Fong, you sent your subordinates to their death. How long are you going to hide? Ming Ba took the opportunity to attack and laughed evilly. I still need 10 breaths of time. Su Fong closed his eyes in pain. Suddenly Yu Miaomei transmitted her thoughts. Celestial treasure, let me out! You? Su Fong was stunned. The delicate Yu Miaomei now displayed a rare heroism of a woman. Tianbao, have you forgotten that my mastery of the ethereal enlightenment is more powerful than yours? Furthermore, this is the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world. Do your best. Don't force yourself. Su Fong gritted his teeth and decisively sent Yu Miaomei out of the cavern of time. Yu Miaomei flew out of Su Fong's body and appeared in the galaxy formed by the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world. She activated the ethereal incantation of 10,000 spells to communicate with the surrounding galaxy. An ethereal power quickly covered the bright stars. Rumble! The 10,000 demons' ancient world shook and shook in all directions. This time, not only Ming Ba demon's supremacy, but the other demigod experts and the countless big goblin in the 10,000 demons' ancient world were all shocked. The 10,000 demons' ancient world was a part of the land formed when the heavens and earth were first created. Later, whether it was the cultivators, the big goblin, or the demon race, they were unable to integrate with the world origin. At most, they could only use the world origin to cultivate. At this time, the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world was shaken by a human girl who looked like she was only 10 years old. Moreover, she was able to easily communicate with the world origin in such a short time. This shocked the demigod experts. Boom! After Yu Miaomei formed a seal, the galaxy flowed around her. The scene was spectacular and gorgeous. A controlling divine power covered the entire 10,000 demons' ancient world through the world origin. Boom! 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 Under Yu Miaomei's control, the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world surged toward Ming Ba and the army of resurrected experts, forming a terrifying shackle. Even Ming Ba, a demigod expert, felt uncomfortable, let alone the army of resurrected experts. Under Yu Miaomei's control, the world origin of the world origin did not cause any shackles to Su Fong's subordinate. Their morale was greatly boosted as they charged toward the army of resurrected experts. Kill Su Fong. Things will change if we delay. The valiant and fearless will of Su Fong's subordinates shocked the Blood River Lord. He had a bad premonition and immediately roared at Ming Ba. Boom! 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 Ming Ba released a shocking aura as his body burned with demonic and deathly aura. The evil power of the heavens and earth quickly gathered around him, forming a huge whirlpool. It shattered the shackles of the surrounding world origin and then charged toward the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world with a destructive aura. Poof! Ming Ba's powerful strength shook the world origin of the 10,000 demons' ancient world. The galaxy formed by the world origin shook violently. Yu Miaomei was greatly impacted and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body flew out and crashed into the galaxy. She immediately fainted. Green Feather King, Bai Ling, and the other big goblin, as well as Li Haojie, came out and charged toward Ming Ba. Li Haojie released the demigod wolf demon from the demon clan from the demon transformation tower and roared, "Kill this resurrected expert of the demon clan and I'll immediately return you your freedom." The demigod wolf demon's primordial spirit was severely injured by the second primordial spirit. Li Haojie had left a shackle seed in his body with the demon transformation tower, and his life was in Li Haojie's hands. He did not care about anything else and transformed into his original form. He roared and charged toward Ming Ba. The situation on the battlefield was suddenly reversed. 5 breath, 3 breath, 1 breath. Boom! Su Fang's heaven and earth Dao Palace, which had shrunk to the extreme, exploded. A brand new heaven and earth Dao Palace was successfully born. It could no longer be called a heaven and earth Dao Palace but a world. There were no stars in this vast and endless world. Strange chaotic matter floated in the air. The world was filled with the power of yin and yang and the power of the world. The 6 natural forces of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and thunder filled the world. They circulated endlessly like the heavenly Tao. The Yang Meridian and the World Tree were nowhere to be seen. They did not disappear, but existed in Su Fang's world in another form. In other words, Su Fang's world was the Yang Meridian and the World Tree. 54 Yang Meridian formed the universe, and his World Tree was the power that supported the entire world. Su Fang's world was also filled with mysterious and illusory purple qi. It was the purple qi Dharma spirit that had fused with Su Fang's world, which gave Su Fang's world a supreme heavenly Tao luck. The world in Su Fang's body was no longer an illusory space, but a real world like the real world. It had his own universe, energy, matter, as well as the great Tao laws and heavenly Tao luck. The 9 Yang 9 transformations had entered the 6th transformation. After the power of 9 Yang and the power of 9 Yin had fused, Su Fang's world had once again transformed into a real world. From then on, Su Fang had taken a huge step on the path of cultivation. However, Su Fang did not have a trace of joy in his heart. He did not even carefully observe the newly born world. Instead, he left the cavern of time and space and flew out of the true dragon realm. Luo, Senior Qingyu, Sister Bai, Miao Mei, Li Haojie. Su Fang's great perfection vision swept across the entire ancient demon realm, taking in everything in the air and on the ground. His eyes exuded a sharp and cold light, causing the entire world to turn cold. Su Fang, take your friends and subordinates and leave the ancient demon realm, while I am still able to hold back the traitor Blood River Lord. Luo was the first to notice Su Fang, and his expression changed instantly. Luo, come back. Leave everything to me. Su Fang replied. His tone was filled with strong confidence and dominance, as well as sharp killing intent. Then, Su Fang transmitted his thoughts. Senior Qingyu, Sister Bai, and everyone else, come to my side. Swoosh. Swoosh. First, Luo's physical body exploded, causing the Blood River Lord to retreat. Then, he took the opportunity to shake off the Blood River Lord and come to Su Fang's side. The immortal fiend monsters, Gui Gui, Long Niao, the big goblin like the Green Feather King, as well as Li Haojie, the Lord of 5 Poisons, the Undead King, and many other subordinates all retreated. Su Fang, you're finally willing to show yourself. Minggan smiled maliciously and charged towards Su Fang with monstrous, killing intent. The other demigod experts did not wait for the Blood River Lord's orders and all charged towards Su Fang. Chapter 1766. Su Fang, I'm going to sacrifice you to the supreme evil god. Minggan flew back above the army of resurrected experts and looked at Su Fang, laughing savagely. His laughter was still echoing when Minggan's body suddenly collapsed, turning into a sea of blood. Evil demon Qi and death Qi covered the sky. Like a tsunami, it engulfed the army of resurrected experts. Millions of resurrected experts were devoured by the sea of blood, and Minggan's aura suddenly increased. The sea of blood surged again, condensing into Minggan's giant face. Minggan was originally a blood demon that had been resurrected, and the sea of blood was his true body. He had been injured in the great war of immortals and demons, so he had no choice but to appear in the form of a human cultivator. Now that Su Fang had appeared, Minggan didn't hesitate to transform into his true body and combine the power of millions of resurrected experts to devour Su Fang in order to get rid of the enemy and obtain the promise of the Blood River Lord. Minggan, Su Fang is mine, how can I let you take it all for yourself? The ancient demon that had fought with the second primordial spirit earlier roared and spat out a ball of bloody light, which turned into a bloody baby. The bloody light flashed and disappeared into the void. When the blood infant reappeared, it was only 10 feet away from Su Fang. The remaining demigod experts, the emaciated old man of the human race, the scarlet flood dragon great demon, and the incomparably beautiful resurrected female cultivator all rushed towards Su Fang. At this moment, Su Fang wasn't a living person in their eyes, nor was he an enemy, but a great opportunity. The so-called demigods were actually unable to reach the God realm, and were stuck between the peak of the Tao realm and the true God realm. Although demigods were at the peak of the great world, they couldn't step out of the great world and ascend to the other realms. Many demigod powerhouses risked their lives to go to the end of the world because they had no hope of becoming a god. Chapter 1785. 9 Truths and 9 Sons. However, only 1 in 10,000 succeeded, and almost all of them died at the end of the Great World. The demigods that stayed in the Great World either completely gave up on ascending to the true God realm and struggled at death's door in the Great World, or looked for a slim chance to take that final step. At this time, the Blood River Monarch had given them the great fortune of becoming a true god. How could these demigod experts not scramble for it? At this moment, Su Fang looked like a demigod to the God realm. God realm looked like a piece, surrounded by a pack of hungry wolves, hungry, and Su Fang was like a piece that was a piece meat God realm. The Blood River Lord watched this scene coldly from the sky. He had no intention of intervening. His gaze was like watching a pack of dogs fighting over a bone. In the blink of an eye, the blood infant released by the elder devil rushed towards Su Fang. A bloody and evil aura rushed towards him. What? The blood infant suddenly cried like a baby. Other than Luo and Long Niao, all of Su Fang's subordinates, the big goblin Gui Gui, and the undead king felt their primordial spirits tremble, and their primordial spirits blurred for a moment. At this moment, the blood infant was only a meter away from Su Fang's body. It revealed a sinister and evil smile, and white fangs appeared from its mouth as it bit towards Su Fang's heart. The merit of killing Su Fang belongs to me. No one can take it away from me. The ancient devil laughed maniacally. Puff! Su Fang suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a bolt of lightning. The heavenly Tao's thunder punishment divine might rumbled out and struck the blood infant. There was a huge explosion. The blood infant struggled in the lightning and let out a shrill scream. Su Fang used his own world energy as the source and turned it into a chain to shackle the blood infant. Then, he swept it toward Gui Gui. The blood infant was the blood essence of countless cultivators and big goblin that the ancient devil had killed. It was nurtured with the evil forbidden technique of the devil race. It was the perfect cultivation material for Gui Gui to improve. The ancient devil's maniacal laughter came to an abrupt stop. He immediately roared in anger, "Su Fang, you killed my god, devil, and blood ghost. I will. You want to pull out my tendons and skin me, and then refine my soul, right? What a cliché." Su Fang sneered coldly and mockingly. At this moment, Minggon's bloody face opened its mouth like a huge black hole. Blood and death chi swirled in the mouth, and a terrifying aura that could devour the world burst out. It wanted to devour Su Fang and all of his subordinates. Boom! A world divine might exploded from Su Fang's inner world and instantly covered Minggon's boundless sea of blood. In an instant, Minggon felt a world power that was completely different from the big world. The heavenly Tao law and energy were also completely different. The sea of blood was shackled, and his connection with the evil power of nature was cut off. The power of the sea of blood was instantly suppressed to the extreme. What made Minggon even more fearful was that Su Fang's world divine might gave him a feeling that he was facing the heavenly Tao and was in a universe that was outside the big world. It was the real heavenly Tao, not a superpower that was used to communicate and control the power of heavenly Tao. Compared to the heavenly Tao of the big world, this kind of heavenly Tao was very weak and even insignificant. However, it had an independent aura of great Tao that was all-encompassing and contained endless mysteries and heavenly Tao's fortune. Heavenly Tao. How powerful was it? Even if it was an expert from the God realm who came to the big world, he had to be bound and shackled by the heavenly Tao of the big world. Although the divine might released by Su Fang's world divine might only had the embryonic form of heavenly Tao, it was the real heavenly Tao. It isolated everything in the heavenly Tao of the big world and became the absolute ruler of the area covered by the divine might. You just said that you want to sacrifice me to the evil god? Su Fang looked at Minggon coldly. I am a demigod expert. Let's see how you are going to shackle me. Minggon's voice roared out from the blood sea. The blood sea was like a tsunami that crazily attacked the shackles of Su Fang's world divine might. Shackles? I don't want to shackle you. I want to kill you. Su Fang didn't make any hand seals. He just stretched out his hand and clenched it. The blood sea that Minggon turned into quickly shrunk under the divine might of his world divine might. His world divine might was released by the world divine might in his inner world. He was the heavenly Tao of this world divine might. He only needed to move his mind and it was a supreme superpower. Boom, boom, boom. No matter how Minggon attacked, he couldn't break through the shackles. Instead, he was continuously compressed by Su Fang's world divine might. The blood sea shrunk at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. It shrunk from 100,000 feet to 1,000 feet and it was still shrinking. How can you become so powerful in such a short period of time? Stop. Su Fang, if you dare to kill me, the supreme evil god will definitely send down divine punishment. Minggon's terrified and angry voice could be heard from the blood sea. His voice became weaker and weaker until it was completely silent. In a short span of 5 to 6 breaths, the blood sea shrunk to the size of a fist and became a grayish-black bead. After being sealed by Su Fang, he threw it to the undead king. With the help of this blood bead, the undead king could completely break through and step into the demigod realm. The other 4 demigod powerhouses who were charging at him aggressively came to a sudden halt. Their eyes were filled with shock and fear. Minggon, a demigod expert, was actually turned into a blood bead by Su Fang like he was kneading mud. How terrifying was this scene! How powerful was Su Fang? God! Only the gods of the myriad worlds would have such terrifying strength. Whoosh! Su Fang teleported to the front of the Scarlet Flood Dragon and said coldly, "You injured the dragon bird just now?" Boom! 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 Su Fang released the Supreme Divine Dragon's might. His right arm transformed into the Divine Dragon's form. Claw after claw landed on the Scarlet Flood Dragon's body with an aura that could tear everything apart. The Scarlet Flood Dragon Big Goblin had a trace of the Divine Dragon's bloodline in its body. The Divine Dragon's might had an innate deterrent effect on it. Under Su Fang's Divine Dragon's might, the Scarlet Flood Dragon trembled and its entire body went soft. The demonic energy and innate ability in its body were unable to be used. It was like a small snake trembling under the Divine Dragon's might. In the blink of an eye, the Scarlet Flood Dragon Big Goblin that had reached the demigod realm was covered in injuries. Fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. Swish! His arm shook and slashed across the Scarlet Flood Dragon's chest. A crack appeared where one could see the internal organs. Fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. Submit, I'm willing to submit, spare my life. Under the deterrence of the Divine Dragon's might, the Scarlet Flood Dragon's willpower had already collapsed. If it still didn't submit, it would definitely be tortured to death by Su Fang. Su Fang used his dragon chi to create a seal seed and injected it into the Scarlet Flood Dragon's body. Then, he absorbed it into his inner world. In Su Fang's inner world, even a deity wouldn't be able to create much wave. Su Fang killed Ming Ku and suppressed the Scarlet Flood Dragon Big Goblin. It was completely unstoppable. It was overbearing and domineering. Su Fang, who possessed the inner world, was actually this powerful. The other three demigod experts couldn't help but gasp, and they revealed expressions of astonishment and terror. They were like ordinary people who were walking in the dark and had suddenly seen a ghost. They didn't seem like they wanted to skin Su Fang alive at all. The Blood River Lord's triangular eyes revealed an incredulous expression. The blood-red light in his eyes flickered continuously, as if he wanted to see through Su Fang. A chaotic world appeared in the Blood River Lord's eyes. It was deep and mysterious. Inner world. A low-level existence from the outer world has actually cultivated an inner world. The Blood River Lord was shocked. Soon after, he revealed a sinister smile. Interesting, really interesting. The outer world actually has such a peerless genius with supreme luck. He actually managed to cultivate an inner world. Looks like I have to change my mind. It's a pity to kill him. It's better to suppress him and take him as a slave. This kid is simply heaven-defying. Deity, the current Su Fang has the strength of a deity. Quickly, run. The three demigod experts' heads were all buzzing. They were terrified and wanted to escape without hesitation. Since you're here, you want to leave without paying a price? Su Fang smiled coldly. The inner world's divine might once again burst out, covering an area of 100 miles. It was an independent world that replaced the heavenly Tao and cut off the connection with the heavens and earth. Chapter 1767. Su Fang calmly stepped forward and arrived in front of the resurrected female cultivator with a coquettish appearance. The resurrected female cultivator's deep eyes flashed with panic, but the next moment, a smile blossomed on her face, like a beautiful flower blooming, releasing an evil charm that no man could resist. In an instant, Su Fang felt as if there was a monster stirring in his body, and the pure yang fire burned in his body with a bang. "Little brother, how can you bear to kill me?" The coquettish woman's lips squirmed, and a voice that made one's soul tremble came out. Seeing Su Fang's eyes become blurred and his breathing become rapid, the coquettish woman's eyes revealed a complacent look, and her almost perfect body twisted. The amazing charm made the eyes of the human race old man who was shackled by Su Fang not far away also burn with flames. Suddenly, "A corpse that has been dead for countless years wants to seduce me, Su Fang?" Su Fang smiled coldly, and his eyes suddenly became as cold as ice. He waved his arm and rolled out a majestic world force, bombarding the coquettish woman's body and sending her flying. The coquettish woman's body was shattered, and the evil aura suddenly disappeared, replaced by a strong rotten death aura. Her smooth jade-like skin also rotted layer by layer, as if she had just crawled out of a tomb after being buried for God knows how many years. How long have you been cultivating, and your pure young body is the most difficult to resist a woman's charm, and yet you have such a firm Tao heart that you can break my supreme divine ability? The coquettish woman looked at Su Fang in horror, with a look of disbelief. Do I need to explain it to you? Su Fang urged the world force again, turning it into a bolt of lightning that fell on the coquettish woman's body. If it was elsewhere, Su Fang might really be charmed by this coquettish resurrected female cultivator, but at this time, Su Fang released the world force in his body, and the area covered by his divine power was the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao was heartless, so how could it be bewitched by others? Thunder rumbled and exploded, and the rotting skin, flesh, and blood of the coquettish female cultivator were incinerated by the force of the lightning tribulation and fell off in large pieces. The woman who was incomparably coquettish a moment ago was instantly reduced to a skeleton. Although she wasn't dead, her vitality was greatly damaged. Boom! Boom! The human elder and the ancient devil unleashed all their strength and finally shattered the shackles of Su Fang's world god's might. Then, without hesitation, they fled. They did not dare to stay in the ancient demon realm for even a moment longer. They each used their own life-saving forbidden techniques and fled the ancient demon realm as fast as they could. One of the ribs of the beautiful resurrected female cultivator's skeleton suddenly exploded, and a pink smoke enveloped the skeleton. When the smoke dissipated, the beautiful resurrected female cultivator had already disappeared. Su Fang didn't chase after the two demigods. Instead, he looked at the Blood River Lord who was slowly flying over. The real battle had just begun. I didn't expect that an ant that I didn't even take seriously would become so powerful in such a short time. This is truly unexpected. The Blood River Lord's blood-red eyes shone brightly. He looked at Su Fang as if he was looking at a priceless treasure. Then, the Blood River Lord said majestically, "However, in front of me, you are still a low-level existence. You are just a slightly bigger ant." The Blood River Lord was right. Even if Su Fang had the strength to easily kill a demigod and was already a supreme existence in the great world, he was still nothing in front of a God Realm expert like him, who was also a peerless expert of the Azura divine clan. Human Su Fang, your talent is rare even in the God Realm. I can't bear to kill you. As long as you hand over the trash Azura King and submit to me, not only will I bring you to the God Realm, but I will also nurture you. In less than 10 million years, I can guarantee that you will become the Realm Lord of a small world in the God Realm. The Blood River Lord offered a tempting offer. Becoming a god and being nurtured into a God Realm expert was an offer that no cultivator in the great world could resist. Su Fang said domineeringly, "As long as you submit to me now, I can spare your life and make you my #1 slave expert." The Blood River Lord was stunned for a moment, then laughed maniacally as if he had heard the funniest joke in the 3 realms. The cultivators of the great world are all frogs in a well. How could you know the vastness of the God Realm and the strength of gods? Since you overestimate yourself, I can only suppress you. Your perfect body and pure yang body will become nutrients for my cultivation. Blood River Monarch's eyes flashed with rays of blood-red light, which condensed into chains. With a clatter, the chains intertwined to form a 1,000-meter-long blood-red light cage, shackling Su Fang and his surroundings. "Su Fang, be careful!" Luo couldn't help but shout out a warning. He knew very well what kind of powerful opponent Su Fang was facing. It wasn't someone Su Fang could contend against. Even if Su Fang had cultivated an inner world and could use the Origin Sacred Mirror, Luo's heart was still hanging by a thread. The difference between the two was just too great. "I will refine your body. After devouring it, I will have a chance to advance further. It is my good fortune to be able to reap such benefits after coming to the great world. Su Fang, you are just a lowly existence from the lower realms. It is your great honor to be able to become my cultivation material. An ant will always be an ant. No matter how talented you are, you can't change your fate of being trampled on. The Blood River Lord looked at Su Fong in the blood-red cage, and was very pleased with himself. I, Su Fong, came from a small world. In front of a lofty God realm expert like you, I am indeed a lowly existence. However, I was able to go from being a cultivator from a small world to a peak powerhouse of a great world in less than 10,000 years. This was all because of my own hard work. Along the way, I have no idea how many powerhouses I have defeated and how many enemies I have trampled underfoot. I am the master of my fate. Even a God realm expert like you can't control my fate. This time, I will not only disappoint you, but also make you despair. As soon as Su Fong's clanging voice faded away, a thunderous explosion came from his body. His body began to grow in reverse. Streaks of golden electricity flowed on his skin, and a supreme divine aura exploded. When the growth stopped, Su Fong's body became 100 feet tall. His body was covered with mysterious golden totem-like patterns. He was majestic, like a god of war descending. Pa pa pa. The Herculean palm released a dazzling golden light filled with a majestic supreme divine aura. It was like the wrath of a god of war as it slammed into the blood-red cage. The blood-red cage trembled violently, and a large hole appeared. Su Fong's giant form charged out of the hole, and the blood-red cage completely collapsed. A transcendent supernatural ability that came from the primordious holy mirror was simply this powerful. A god-tier divine ability, and an extraordinary one at that. I didn't expect a great world cultivator to not only master a divine ability, but also be able to use such shocking power. You can even shake my divine ability. The Blood River Lord was surprised and shocked. After Su Fong charged out of the cage, his body immediately returned to normal. Su Fong had entered the 6th transformation of the 9 Yang 9 transformations. The power released by the gigantified diamond body had reached the divine level. However, the gigantified diamond body also consumed a large amount of Yang Qi. The battle with the Blood River Lord had just begun, so Su Fong naturally wouldn't use the gigantified diamond body to fight him. Lowly existence from a great world, you have the right to make me use a small part of my power. This monarch will let you know what true despair is in front of this monarch. The Blood River Lord's hands parted, and a blood-red light surged out like a long river. It quickly turned into the sinful blood fire, and surrounded Su Fong. It burned fiercely, releasing a shocking and evil power, and rapidly evaporated Su Fong's blood. Not only Su Fong, but all the big goblin in the ancient demon realm below, including the ordinary birds and beasts, had their blood evaporated completely. It was difficult to see anything alive within a radius of 10,000 miles. Fortunately, Su Fong's subordinates, the big goblin, had been brought to the edge of the ancient demon realm when Su Fong and the Blood River Lord started fighting. Otherwise, they would have been affected. They didn't even have the right to watch a battle between two peerless experts of such height, let alone help. Boom! Su Fong activated his inner world, and the inner world aura surged out of his body, forming a protective inner world aura that covered 100 feet around him. The smaller the radius of the world god aura, the more powerful it would be. Although the Blood River Lord's sinful blood fire was incomparably evil and powerful, when it came into contact with Su Fong's world god aura, it was reduced to nothingness. The Blood River Lord's sinister smile froze, and he said coldly, "Lowly ant, you have made me feel troubled. It seems that I have to use half of my strength." Boom! 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 The Blood River Lord's body suddenly burst into flames. His entire body was filled with the evil sinful blood fire. Like burning blood, the evil inner world aura soared into the sky, dyeing the sky red. Whoosh! The Blood River Lord entered the inner world aura again, and turned into a burning cloud of blood. It quickly spread and became 10,000 feet large, floating in the sky. The inner world aura filled with killing intent almost covered the entire ancient demon realm. Sizzle! Sizzle! Countless birds and beasts were instantly vaporized, turning into wisps of blood that surged into the sky. How many birds and beasts were there in the ancient demon realm? With so many wisps of blood gathered together, the entire ancient demon realm was instantly plunged into a bloody purgatory. After the blood cloud absorbed a large amount of wisps of blood, the bloody flames suddenly soared, burning hundreds of feet high. The entire blood cloud had completely turned into a sea of fire, covering the sky and the earth. Boom! The blood-colored sea of fire rolled and roared, surrounding Su Fang. Sizzle! 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 Su Fang's inner world aura was incinerated layer by layer, shrinking rapidly. Ant, tremble before my inner world aura! The Blood River Lord's maniacal laughter came from all directions. You might be the one trembling. Chapter 1768. Ha ha ha, a lowly being from the macro world, you really talk big. Do you know how powerful I am? The Blood River Lord laughed disdainfully. There are countless divine realms in all the realms. In all the realms, deities like Sanghan are as common as sand on the beach. Any random deity could easily destroy a divine realm in a macro world. The Azura Divine Clan is one of the most powerful divine clans, and I am the top expert of the Azura Divine Clan. Su Fang has sent a slaughtered doppelganger, which is also considered an expert in the divine realm. You are just an ant in the macro world. How dare you talk so arrogantly? Isn't that laughable? As the Blood River Lord laughed, the crimson flames grew even fiercer. Su Fang's divine aura of the world was burned again, shrinking to less than 10 feet in size. The Azura Divine Clan is the most powerful divine clan in the universe? I think Sanghan is just SOSO. Didn't I kill him with my own hands in the end? Su Fang mocked. In fact, he was already secretly activating the Origin Sacred Mirror in his inner world. The power of Yin and Yang, formed by the fusion of the power of 9 Yin and 9 Yang, as well as the world origin of the Grand Celestial World, and the power of the world tree of Yin and Yang surged into the divine mirror. The purple Chi Dharma spirit in Su Fang's inner world also appeared. The mysterious purple Chi released an amazing divine aura that enveloped the divine mirror. The divine mirror was like a huge bottomless pit as it crazily devoured Su Fang's power. Only then did the surface of the red mirror ripple slightly. At the same time, Shu Wanjin also poured the power of 9 Yin and world into the center of the ancient mirror from the other side. How dare you underestimate the Azura Divine Clan? The Blood River Lord was enraged by Su Fang's mockery, and the blazing crimson flames paused. My clan used to be a member of the ancient God Clan. Although we have declined, we still occupy an ancient God world. Sooner or later, we will rise in the myriad heavens. Those peerless experts of the ancient God Clan have all become cultivation tools for my clan. Su Fang revealed a look of awe. So the Shura God Clan is actually this powerful. I've never heard of it from Luo before. The Blood River Lord snorted inexplicably and continued, because that crippled king was suppressed by the powerhouses of his clan. His physical body and primordial spirit were separated and sealed separately. He will be imprisoned forever, so he hates the entire Shura Divine Clan. Naturally, he won't tell you anything about the Shura Divine Clan. Since Luo is the Shura king, why would the Shura clan betray him? Su Fang asked curiously. Betrayal? In the Shura Divine Clan, only the strong are respected. Although the crippled king is extremely talented, he is not the strongest in our clan. What right does he have to be the king of Shura? The strong can be king, and the weak can only kneel and submit to the strong. It is reasonable that he was dethroned. How can there be any betrayal? Hearing this, Su Fang suddenly sneered. Do you have any last words? I will reseal the crippled king's primordial spirit and make a great contribution to our clan. My status will definitely rise. Then I will devour you. Lowly ant, How dare you ask me to say my last words? I will refine you. The Blood River Lord was very pleased with himself at first, but he suddenly realized that Su Fang's tone was not right. He immediately flew into a rage, and the flames of sin burned wildly again, shattering Su Fang's world divine might. At that moment, Su Fang suddenly raised the origin divine mirror and pointed it at the flames of sin around him. A divine weapon? The Blood River Lord's exclamation came from the flames of sin. Soon after, his voice was filled with disdain and incomparable greed. This divine weapon is indeed extraordinary, but how much of its power can you activate? What right does a lowly existence like you have to possess such a powerful divine weapon? Not only your physical body, but this divine artifact of yours will also belong to me. You are still so arrogant when you are about to die. I really can't activate much of this divine weapon's power, but I only need to activate a 10,000th of its power to kill you. Su Fang said majestically, as if he was announcing the Blood River Lord's death sentence. The mysterious crimson and black Xian Guang spiraled on the mirror like two fish swimming on the surface of the mirror. They swam faster and faster, and a black hole suddenly appeared on the surface of the mirror. The black hole was extremely deep and exuded an ancient aura. Boom! The black hole on the surface of the mirror exploded with an extremely shocking devouring power. Su Fang's Yellow Springs Blood Sea's devouring power could be said to be unparalleled in the great world. However, compared to the power of the divine mirror, one was the bright moon in the sky, while the other was not even comparable to a firefly. This devouring power could devour an immortal realm, a star, a galaxy, or even a part of the universe and annihilate the heavenly Tao. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The flames of sin that had just leaped onto Su Fang's body surged wildly toward the black hole on the surface of the divine mirror. What kind of treasure is this? It's so terrifying. Impossible. How can there be such a supreme treasure in the great world, and how can it be activated by a great world cultivator? The Blood River Lord's arrogance had completely vanished, and his voice was filled with fear and despair. The flames of sin burned wildly, constantly transforming into faces that exploded with astonishing power as they tried to break free of the divine mirror's devouring power. Although the Blood River Lord was extremely powerful, the power of the divine mirror was not something he could contend with. Even if his true body was here, he would not be able to escape the fate of being killed by the divine mirror's power, let alone his slaughtered doppelganger. As the Blood River Lord roared with indignation, the flames of sin sizzled and the last wisp of flame was sucked into the divine mirror. The surface of the divine mirror regained its calm and turned back into a red mirror. Everything was silent. One of the slaughtered doppelganger of the Blood River Lord of the Azura gods had been killed by Su Fang without leaving a trace. Witnessing this scene, Law's crimson eyes shone with a horrified light, and then he laughed loudly, his laughter reverberating in all directions. The Green Feather Monster Emperor, Bai Ling, and the other powerful big goblin, as well as the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Haojia, were all shocked and speechless for a long time. The wolf monster that had been subdued by Li Haojia was trembling all over. Before this, the old wolf monster had thought of Su Fang as a weakling and had helped the Blood River Lord find Su Fang's whereabouts. He had even planned to capture Su Fang alive and present him to the Blood River Lord in exchange for benefit. Now that he thought about it, the wolf demon felt waves of lingering fear. Su Fang could even kill a divine realm expert. Wouldn't killing him, a demigod-level demon, be as easy as flipping his hand a dozen times over? Su Fang had also paid a heavy price for killing the Blood River Lord. The newly formed world in his body could not feel any ripples of world energy. The entire world was in a state of dead silence. Some cracks in the void appeared in the space of his inner world. 54 Yang Meridians and the World Tree appeared from the space. The Yang Qi in the Yang Meridians had dried up, and the Yin-Yang world energy in the World Tree was almost exhausted. The scattered light dimmed as if it was about to wither. Although he had won with the help of the divine mirror, it could be considered a Pyrrhic victory. With such a huge expenditure, he did not know how much resources and time it would take to recover. It might even cause irrecoverable side effects that would affect his future path of cultivation. Su Fang's strength was almost completely depleted. He couldn't even maintain his flying state any longer. He plummeted to the ground and was caught by Luo, who rushed over in time. Only then did he avoid the fate of being smashed into meat paste. If he were to fall to his death right after killing a Divine Realm expert, that would be the biggest joke of the ancient times. Brother! Bai Ling flew over and landed beside Su Fang. Seeing Su Fang in such a state, she was so anxious that tears fell from her eyes. The green feather monster emperor and the others had also rushed over. They were all worried about Su Fang. Suddenly buzz! The Origin's sacred mirror automatically flew to Su Fang's side. It trembled like ripples on the surface of a lake, and a crimson pill appeared. It was not a pill, but a pearl. It exuded rich Origin yang qi and the power of yin and yang. Su Fang was stunned. Then, his eyes shone brightly, and his spirit suddenly became hale and hearty. How could I forget this? Ha ha, Blood River Lord, I really have to thank you. After you died, you still brought me such great benefits. Ha ha. The Origin's sacred mirror could refine the big goblin into a pearl containing majestic yang qi. Su Fang often used this method in the small world. After coming to the large world, Su Fang was worried that the ancient mirror would be exposed. Moreover, Su Fang did not lack any pills or spiritual items. Therefore, he rarely used the ancient mirror to suppress the big goblin and refine it into a pearl. In the past, Su Fang could not truly use the Origin sacred mirror, so he could only use it to suppress the big goblin and spiritual items. Now that he had reached the sixth transformation, he could use part of the divine mirror's power to deal with cultivators. Since the divine mirror could refine the big goblin into a pearl, why couldn't it refine the Blood River Lord, an Azura powerhouse? This is... Luo asked in surprise. Su Fang said coldly, "This is what the Blood River Lord was refined into by the divine mirror. Even in his death, the Blood River Lord would never have imagined that he would end up like this." Luo was very unhappy that the Blood River Lord would end up like this. However, when he saw the divine mirror, fear appeared in his blood-red eyes. With the pearl formed by refining the Blood River Lord, I will definitely be able to recover a lot. Su Fang reached out to grab the pearl. Because he had used up too much energy, he almost could not even lift the pearl. As soon as the bead left the mirror, the primordious holy mirror automatically entered Su Fang's inner world. This transcendent divine tool simply didn't listen to Su Fang's orders. It was powerful, mysterious, and incomparably arrogant. Su Fang swallowed the pearl without hesitation. The pearl did not contain any of the Blood River Lord's evil aura. Instead, it contained majestic Origin yang qi. Only 5 minutes after Su Fang swallowed it, an unparalleled Origin yang qi surged into Su Fang's flesh and meridians. Finally, it all gathered in the Yang Meridian. After a series of surges, it passed through the World Tree and turned into the power of the Yin-Yang world, which was released into the entire world. Chapter 1769. In the central space-time of the Origin sacred mirror, a cold light shone from the black mirror, watching Su Fang through the ancient mirror's mysterious space. 98989 Read 9 Book 30. Seeing that Su Fang had used the Origin sacred mirror to devour the Blood River Lord and the ancient mirror had refined the Blood River Lord into a pill-like pearl, the light shone with surprise and astonishment. I calculated that using the Origin sacred mirror would consume an unbearable amount of energy, but I didn't expect that I would use such a method to replenish most of my energy. This kid has the purple cloud Dharma spirit and is blessed with great fortune. He was able to resolve such a dangerous situation. I hope he can cultivate the 9 suns 9 transformations to the 9th transformation soon. That way, not only will I be able to recover my strength and break free from the divine miracles, but Father will also be able to come back to life one day." The cold voice came from the black mirror, and then the mirror disappeared into the central spacetime with a gust of cold chi. The Blood River Lord was also unlucky. One of his slaughter avatars descended into the great world, but not only did it fail to reseal law, it was also killed by Su Fang and became nutrients for Su Fang's recovery. Asuras were strange creatures of the world, similar to beasts. They constantly devoured the blood of cultivators, big goblins, and demons to grow stronger. The pearl that the Blood River Lord had formed after being refined by the Origin Sacred Mirror contained boundless origin yang qi and the life essence that had been refined by the ancient mirror. After being devoured by Su Fang, the world in his body, which had been on the verge of collapse, regained its vitality, and even his physical body was brimming with vitality. After recovering slightly, Su Fang immediately checked his losses. In addition to his own losses, Su Fang's friends and subordinates had also paid a heavy price. Law had burned his essence spirit origin to fight the Blood River Lord, losing his essence spirit. It would be difficult to recover. The powerful big goblins such as the Green Feather Demon Monarch, Bai Ling, and the Vermilion Emperor, Li Haojie, and the Lord of Five Poisons were all severely injured in this battle. Even the Dragon Bird and Gui Gui were severely injured. Only the immortal and demonic monsters were unscathed. Su Fang's slave masters and junior commanders had suffered even greater losses. He had lost more than a third of them. Moreover, many of them had followed Su Fang from the small world until now. This made Su Fang's heart ache. What made Su Fang's heart ache even more was that Yu Miaomei had controlled the world origin of the ancient demon world to stop the reincarnated army and Mingan at the most critical moment. However, she had been severely injured by Mingan's counterattack and had fallen into a coma. Her life aura had become extremely weak, and she was on the verge of death. Su Fang also used the mysterious solution of heaven's divination to pry into the mysteries of heaven and performed a divination on Yu Miaomei. The result made Su Fang fall into despair. Even if Yu Miaomei could preserve her life, the chances of her waking up were extremely slim. Even though Su Fang had many supreme mystiques, he was at his wits' end. He could only continuously inject yang energy into Yu Miaomei's body. At the same time, he used his time Dao Mystique to seal Yu Miaomei's injuries and do his best to delay the deterioration of her injuries. In addition, Su Fang also used the Dragon Clan's curse of the Divine Dragon and the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit to imbue Yu Miaomei with supreme luck. He hoped that the supreme luck of the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit could help Yu Miaomei turn her misfortune into a blessing. Although I have killed the main culprit, the Blood River Lord, I will not let any of the accomplices who took advantage of the situation to loot. First, it was Prince Shui. Then there are the reincarnated experts, the Demon Clan, and the Human Clan's overlords. I will make all of you pay 10 times the price. With a heavy heart and a heart full of killing intent, Su Fang settled down in the Time Cavern abode. He activated the 9 Yang 9 transformations to refine the bead refined by the Blood River Lord. Su Fang also took out the Sky Thunder Palace and activated the artifact's divine might to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the ancient demon world. He allowed the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Haojie, and other experts to enter the spiritual pool, which was filled with spiritual chi, and 10 rooms to cultivate and recover. At the same time, Su Fang ordered the old wolf demon to empty the ancient demon world of all kinds of spiritual items and resources for his big goblin and cultivators to devour. The dragon bird was placed in Su Fang's inner world to absorb Su Fang's pure yang energy to recover. Gui Gui had obtained the ancient demon's blood infant. With his devouring ability, he could easily devour the blood infant. Not only could he recover quickly, he could even achieve a breakthrough. After cultivating in the Time Cavern abode for about 50 years, more than 500 years had passed in the outside world. Su Fang had finally completely refined the bead. The yang energy in his body had completely recovered to its peak state. His 54 yang meridians were filled with yang energy again, and it was constantly attacking his 55 yang meridians. However, it was already so difficult to enter the 6th transformation of the 9 yang 9 transformations. It was almost impossible to successfully form the 7th transformation of the yang meridians in the Great World. The yang meridians had recovered, but the world tree was far from recovered. My inner world has just been born, and after such a huge consumption, just the yang energy alone is not enough. I still need to absorb a large amount of Great World's world energy to replenish my inner world. Su Fang set his sights on the ancient demon world's world origin. The ancient demon world's world origin was completely exposed to the outside world, but the world seal was not broken. Su Fang activated the ethereal myriad arts Dao and immediately caused the ancient demon world to tremble. The world origin rushed out of the seal and gathered around Su Fang to form a dazzling river of stars. Su Fang did not hesitate to devour more than half of the world origin. Only when the world origin reached the critical point of barely maintaining the vitality of the ancient demon world did he stop. The ancient demon world was a part of the great world when the heavens and earth were first created. Although it was only a small part of it, the world origin contained an astonishing amount of world energy. After devouring the world origin of the ancient Fey world, the world tree was like a bamboo shoot sprouting after the rain. It quickly became full of vitality and grew at an astonishing speed. It made the world in Su Fang's body even more stable, and the world origin was even more profound and vast. In the inner world, the halo formed by fusing with the world origin of the square heaven great world appeared. It was like a vast and mysterious river of stars. As the power of the world increased, the mysterious chaotic matter formed by the birth of the inner world also gradually condensed together, like pieces of nebula. Su Fang did not fuse with the remaining world origin of the ancient demon world. It was meaningless to him. He did not want to control the ancient demon world and become the overlord of the demon clan. I didn't expect the power of the Origin's sacred mirror to be so terrifying. However, the price paid is proportional. If not for the replenishment from refining the Blood River Lord, it would have been quite dangerous this time. I wonder if Senior Shu Wanjin, Senior Sister, has recovered. I can't use the Divine Mirror unless it's a matter of life and death. Next, it's time to settle old scores. I'm going to wipe out the overlords of the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. I'm going to make all the overlords who attacked me pay the heaviest price. Su Fang flew out of the cavern of time with a domineering and murderous aura. Su Fang made the first move. It was the ancient demon world. The only demigod big goblin in the ancient demon world was the old wolf demon. It had been subdued by Li Haojie with the demon transformation tower. There were countless big goblins in the ancient demon world. There were even a few who had reached the demon sage level. They all participated in the search and attack of Su Fang. Although these big goblins were forced by the Blood River Lord to target Su Fang was filled with murderous intent. How could he reason with these big goblins? Bai Ling and Li Haojie could not sit still when they heard that they were going to suppress the big goblin. They ignored their injuries and followed Su Fang. Su Fang scanned the 10,000 demons' ancient realm with his great perfection ability. He could clearly sense the areas where powerful great demons resided. Let's start with this ape dog. Su Fang, Bai Ling, and Li Haojie stopped in the air above a valley. Brother, don't be in a hurry to attack. Let me vent for a while first. Bai Ling and Yu Miaomei had been together for a long time. He liked Yu Miaomei very much and even doted on her like a daughter. Now that Yu Miaomei was injured, Bai Ling was in a berserk state and looked murderous. Go. Be careful. This ape dog is not to be underestimated. It is almost at the Yao Saint stage. Su Fang gave a few words of advice. Next, he and Li Haojie concealed their auras and hid themselves in the sky. With Su Fang's current strength and the big goblin in the ancient demon realm witnessing Su Fang killing the Shura divine clan experts of the celestial realm, once he appeared, which big goblin would dare to resist? How could Bai Ling have the chance to attack? Bai Ling landed on the ridge on the right side of the valley. His fierce demonic aura and murderous aura burst out. "Monster, come out and let me vent." Whoosh! A demonic shadow rushed out of a cave in the valley. It was a big ape monster. It had the body of an ape but the head of a dog. It did not look strange at all. However, the demonic aura and murderous aura emitted from its body had reached the peak of the demon emperor level. Its sharp teeth seemed to be able to bite through everything. Where did this little crane come from? How dare you behave so atrociously in my territory? You are the big goblin under that human cultivator. Fairy, I am deeply honored to have you here. May I know what brings you here? At first, the ape was fierce, but when it recognized Bai Ling, it immediately became as docile as a puppy. There was even a fawning and flattering smile on its face. Bai Ling was stunned. How was this an ancient monster ape dog? Then Bai Ling shouted coldly, "What brings you here? Humph, you big goblin of the ancient demon realm, how dare you attack my brother? I am here today to—" Before Bai Ling could finish, the ape dog fell to the ground with a plop and said, "I know my sins are unforgivable. I am willing to surrender." Bai Ling was completely stunned. Since when did ancient monsters become so spineless? They did not even wait for her to attack and they voluntarily surrendered? Bai Ling could not attack anymore. She put away the chaos ring that she had already activated, shackled the ape dog, and threw it to Li Haojie. She was full of anger. How could she let it go? She continued to look for the next target. Who knew that, like the ape dog, before Bai Ling could vent, the big goblin immediately bowed down to her and voluntarily opened their bodies to Bai Ling's shackles. They all fought to be first, as if becoming Su Fang's slave was a supreme honor. Just like that, the powerful big goblin of the ancient demon realm, including two peerless big goblin whose strength had reached the level of demon sage, were subdued by Su Fang and Li Haojie. Chapter 1770. Almost all of the powerful big goblin in the ancient Fey world were subdued by Su Fang. Now, all 6 levels of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda were filled with suppressed demons. Among them, 2 of the commanders had reached the Fey Saint level, while the junior commanders had all reached the pinnacle of the Fey Arch level. The demons that were suppressed were at least ordinary Fey Thearchs. This way, Su Fang could directly absorb the power of all the demons and fuse it with his own body to use his divine powers. Imagine, with so many demons helping Su Fang, how terrifying would Su Fang's divine powers be? Even if he did not use any other powerful divine powers, Su Fang could easily kill a demigod expert in his original state. When Su Fang's inner world was born, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and Su Fang's inner world fused. After the baptism of the inner world's inner world, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda's quality had undergone a shocking transformation. It was now almost at the level of the Xianming lightning seal. As Su Fang's inner world improved, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda's quality would also continue to improve. It might even become a divine artifact. However, it still needed to absorb a lot of divine spiritual items and resources that contain the energy of the Six Paths Pagoda. As for the big goblin that Su Fang had subdued previously, Su Fang had arranged for them to stay in the true dragon world. He had built many cultivation dojos for them to cultivate. With the help of the Undead Lord, Su Fang had started to repair the damaged true dragon world. At the same time, he had inserted tens of thousands of ancient spirit veins into various places in the true dragon world. This made the true dragon world's cultivation environment comparable to the Destiny Bright Azure Sect's cultivation dojo mystic realm. Su Fang's family, friends, and subordinates, the Big Goblin, the Jihong Dojo, and the Zhu clan naturally cultivated at an unparalleled speed in the true dragon world. The true dragon world became more and more lively. It was like a prosperous immortal world. After dealing with the big goblin in the ancient Fey world, Su Fang was ready to settle old scores with the other factions in the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Although Bai Ling wanted to go with Su Fang, she was injured. She planned to reach Demon Sage in the 10,000 Demons ancient world after she recovered. Therefore, she could only stay in the 10,000 Demons ancient world. Whoosh! Su Fang flew out of the 10,000 Fey ancient world and headed straight for the tyrannical blood ancient plains. It's time to deal with Prince Shui. After leaving the Fey ancient world, Su Fang arrived at the tyrannical blood ancient plains. Looking at the primordial relic in the depths of the tyrannical blood ancient plains, Su Fang's eyes flashed with murderous intent. In the small world, Su Fang and Crown Prince Shui had an irreconcilable hatred. Previously, Prince Shui had led the Blood River Lord to search for Su Fang. If not for Prince Shui, Su Fang could have easily produced the 54th Yang Meridian. Even if the Blood River Lord came, Su Fang could have killed him with the help of the Divine Mirror. He would not have paid such a heavy price. It could be said that he was going to settle old and new scores. Deep in the ancient Fey blood plains. In the ancient Fey blood plains, where the most power was concentrated, there was a majestic golden palace. Prince Shui sat high up. Below him, more than a dozen elders knelt on the ground. They were all trembling. These old men all had faint auras, but their strength was quite impressive. One of the old men's cultivation had even reached the peak of the advanced Tao realm. Unlike other cultivators, these elders had an ancient aura. Their appearance and clothes were completely different from modern cultivators. They were very strange. These elders were all descendants of the ancient human race. Now that the ancient clans were declining, countless ancient clans had disappeared in the river of history. The remaining ones were no longer as glorious as before. They had no choice but to rely on the overlords of the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Overlord Blood Sage was an extremely powerful overlord of the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Naturally, many ancient human descendants had joined him. At this moment, within the ancient Fey blood plains, the clan leaders of the ancient human clans were all gathered in the main hall. They were all kneeling before Prince Shui. Once we offer 100 geniuses to young master, we will be greatly weakened. Please be lenient, young master. A red-haired elder kept kowtowing to Prince Shui. The other elders also begged Prince Shui. It turned out that Prince Shui wanted each ancient clan to offer 100 geniuses who had cultivated for no more than 1,000,000 years. They had to be at least in the Saint Immortal realm. Overlord Blood Sage's cultivation method was called Overlord Blood to the Heavens. It was a very unique cultivation method. It required the blood of ancient human bloodline cultivators, as well as many ancient spiritual items and treasures of heaven and earth, to refine a pill called the Overlord Blood Pill. Because of this, these ancient clans became Overlord Blood Sage's cultivation tools. However, Overlord Blood Sage only took their blood and didn't kill them. Otherwise, which ancient human descendant would dare to rely on him? Prince Shui had just reached the Tao realm and needed the Overlord Blood Pill to stabilize his cultivation. Because his cultivation was too weak, he couldn't bear the Overlord Blood Pill that Overlord Blood Sage used to cultivate. He could only settle for the next best thing, which was to use the young geniuses of the ancient clans as replacements. In order to perfect the Overlord Blood Pill, Prince Shui didn't use the blood of these ancient clan geniuses to refine the pill. Instead, he used their entire bodies. Losing 100 young geniuses was tantamount to shaking the foundation of the ancient clans. How could they accept this? Faced with the pleading of the ancient clan elders, Prince Shui's eyes revealed a cruel glint. He said coldly, "Master wants to refine a pill and you offer your blood. This young master wants to refine a Overlord Blood Pill, and you refuse. Could it be that you only have master in your eyes and not this young master? How would we dare?" The ancient clan elders all paled in fright and tried to explain. In the past 500 years, for some reason, Overlord Blood Sage had become very fond of Prince Shui. He listened to almost everything Overlord Blood Sage said. All matters of the Overlord Blood Sage plains were given to him to handle. Prince Shui had become the ruler of the Overlord Blood Sage plains. If they offended Overlord Blood Sage, perhaps Overlord Blood Sage wouldn't care because of his status. However, if they offended this young master, they could only wait to be exterminated. The Jiang clan that burned down the Flame Domain offended young Master Shui because of the Golden Crow Silkworm. He sent experts to exterminate the entire Jiang clan. The higher-ups of the Jiang clan were all imprisoned. Even the divine Mulberry Mountain was turned into his cultivation palace by young Master Shui. I don't think you dare. Prince Shui slightly raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a proud expression. He was smug and domineering. I have the support of the Azura Divine Clan expert. Even Master has to flatter me. In the Overlord Blood Sage Plains, who dares to go against my will? It turned out that the 6 demigod experts from the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons had either been killed or fled. They didn't know what happened after that. However, the result wasn't hard to imagine. Facing the supreme experts of the God Realm, how much could Su Fong do? Besides, 500 years had passed and Su Fong still hadn't shown up. Other than being killed by the experts of the God Realm, what else could happen to him? As for Su Fong being able to kill the Blood River Lord, not only Prince Shui, but also the demigod experts had never thought of it. Prince Shui helped the Blood River Lord find Su Fong's whereabouts and received a promise from the Blood River Lord. He might even be taken to the God Realm by the Blood River Lord. However, Overlord Blood Sage didn't follow the Blood River Lord's order to kill Su Fong. He was afraid that the Blood River Lord would punish him later, so he had to show goodwill to Prince Shui. One could imagine how proud Prince Shui was right now. He was just waiting for the Blood River Lord to return and give him great benefit. Within 3 months, each clan must offer 100 geniuses. You should know the consequences of missing even one. Prince Shui said majestically. Young Master Shui, although our clan's strength is at the top of the ancient clans, we have very few people. Our entire clan only has 100,000 people. It's difficult for us to hand over 100 geniuses. Young Master Shui, please consider our numbers. At this moment, an elder stood up from the ground and said loudly. This elder was tall and powerful. He had an arrogant and domineering aura. His cultivation was also at the peak of the Tao realm. In the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons where experts were as common as clouds, he was considered a peerless expert. Prince Shui's eyes were cold. The proud Sky Clan has existed since ancient times. Could it be that you're tired of existing for too long and want to disappear from the outside world? It turned out that this elder was the clan leader of the proud Sky Clan. The clansmen of the proud Sky Clan were naturally proud and unyielding. Crown Prince Shui was so domineering that the proud Sky Clan leader could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. He said in a loud voice, "Even the tyrant Blood Venerable is very respectful to our clan, but young Master wants to exterminate our clan at the slightest provocation. Does the tyrant Blood Venerable know about this? I want to see the Venerable. I can also make decisions regarding Master's matters." Prince Shui said coldly. Then, he said in a voice filled with killing intent, "The proud Sky Clan is trying to rebel. Why aren't you suppressing this person?" As soon as he finished speaking, boom! From the dome of the palace, a shocking array formation descended and shackled Ao Tian clan leader. Then, 5 Peak Tao realm experts appeared in the palace and surrounded Ao Tian clan leader in the center. At this moment, the entire tyrannical blood ancient plains shook violently. The world barrier above the ancient plains was actually forcefully blasted open by someone. The world shackle's power seeped into the ancient plains, causing the entire ancient plains to sink into violent tremors. Enemy attack! Strong enemy attack! The warning voice spread into the depths of the ancient plains and into the palace. Boom, boom, boom. Another earthquake rocked the mountain, and the defensive barrier around the palace was forcibly broken through layer by layer. It was as if they were crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, powerful and overbearing beyond compare. This book was drunk quickly updated half of floating, life were inside the main hall. The 5 Peak Tao realm experts under the overbearing Blood Venerable were all about to fly out of the palace to fight the enemy. At this moment, the overbearing Blood Venerable's shocked and surprised voice rang out, "Everyone stay where you are and don't attack." Everyone in the main hall was shocked. Prince Shui panicked. Boom. The defensive array outside the main hall was shattered with a loud bang, and a figure walked in calmly. Chapter 1771. Su Fang. He's Su Fang. He's still alive after being chased by the experts of the God Realm. Everyone in the hall was shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Su Fang looked at Prince Shui with a calm and dominating gaze. He smiled and said, "Prince Shui, no Shui Shaozun, are you disappointed that I'm still alive? How powerful is the Blood River Lord? How could you have escaped from him?" Crown Prince Shui's entire body trembled like a frightened rabbit. Where was the arrogant aura of a ruler from before? "Prince Shui, do you think you can get rid of me with the help of the Blood River Lord? I, Su Fang, am no longer an ant." Su Fang walked toward Prince Shui. The 5 experts under the tyrant Blood Venerable were all in awe and fear as they stepped aside. The dozen or so elders of the ancient clan were all pleasantly surprised. They looked at Su Fang as though he was their savior who had descended from the heavens. It seemed that Prince Shui had a grudge against Su Fang. With Su Fang's strength, even the tyrant Blood Venerable wouldn't be able to stop Su Fang if he wanted to kill Prince Shui. If Prince Shui died, the ancient clans wouldn't have to hand over their geniuses. How could they not be surprised? Su Fang stood 10 zhang away from Prince Shui with his hands behind his back. He said coldly, "Prince Shui, how should I deal with you to resolve my hatred for you?" "Su Fang, don't be too proud. You were lucky enough to escape the Blood River Lord's pursuit this time, but will you always be so lucky? I advise you to leave the tyrant Blood Ancient Plain. Otherwise, when the Blood River Lord arrives, you won't be able to escape death." Prince Shui seemed to have found a life-saving straw. He swept away his fear and threatened. "Blood River Lord?" Su Fang couldn't help but laugh. Prince Shui was still hoping to hug the Blood River Lord's thigh and escape this calamity. Whoosh! Su Fang used his world aura to wrap around Prince Shui. The latter was like a helpless chicken, unable to resist Su Fang's world aura. "This is the tyrant Blood Ancient Plain. If you dare to kill me, my master, the tyrant Blood Venerable will never let you go." My master, the tyrant Blood Venerable, was the supreme overlord of the ancient immortal demon battlefield. "You dare kill me?" Prince Shui fell into Su Fang's hands like a weak chicken waiting to be slaughtered. Only now did he realize how big the gap between him and Su Fang was. However, he had something to rely on, so there was no fear on his face. In the ancient demon world, Su Fang killed Mingan, suppressed the big goblin, and forced the other 3 demigods to flee. Only the 3 demigods knew about this. After they escaped from the ancient demon world, they naturally wouldn't spread it. Even the tyrant Blood Venerable only vaguely knew about it. Prince Shui naturally didn't know. Now that Su Fang had killed his way into the tyrant Blood Venerable's lair, how could the tyrant Blood Venerable ignore it? Once the two fought, Su Fang would definitely not gain any advantage. Su Fang would definitely be wary, so he brought out the tyrant Blood Venerable as his backer. "Is that so?" Su Fang disdainfully raised the corner of his mouth, then reached out and grabbed at the air. Su Fang forcibly pulled out all the Dao treasures covered in Prince Shui's blood energy from his body. "Su Fang, you dare!" These Dao treasures were all fused with Prince Shui. Now that Su Fang forcibly pulled them out, it was as if his flesh was being cut off. The pain was unimaginable. Prince Shui was very wealthy. He had fused 5 Tao treasures into his body. There were all kinds of magic treasures, all of which were peak supreme grade. Chi. Su Fong released a ray of 9 suns immortal fire that enveloped the Tao treasures and burned them. Prince Shue's blood energy was instantly incinerated. Prince Shue screamed a few more times. Sweat poured out of his body like spring water. His face instantly turned pale, and his handsome face twisted into a hideous expression. You forcibly removed the Tao treasures from my body outside the Xianjia gate. These are for you in return. Su Fong's calm tone was cold. Then, he casually threw the 5 Tao treasures on the ground, as if they were a pile of scrap metal. Master, save me! Prince Shue finally realized that Su Fong was determined to kill him this time. He immediately called out to Supremacy Tyrant Blood for help. Whoosh! Supremacy Tyrant Blood passed through the hall's array and arrived in the hall. Prince Shue was overjoyed. He viciously said to Su Fong, "My master is here. Why aren't you letting me go?" Supremacy Tyrant Blood? Su Fong looked at Supremacy Tyrant Blood. Divine light wrapped around him, then he said, "You want to save your disciple?" "I wouldn't dare." Supremacy Tyrant Blood smiled bitterly. He cupped his fists and bowed to Su Fong as if he was a senior expert. Everyone in the main hall was dumbfounded. Supremacy Tyrant Blood coldly shouted at Prince Shue, "In the Inferno domain, I repeatedly warned you not to provoke Su Fong. But you went crazy and willingly became the Blood River Lord's lackey. Now you actually have the face to ask me to save you. Are you trying to cause trouble for me?" Although Supremacy Tyrant Blood did not see what happened in the Fey Ancient Realm, he more or less knew. With Su Fong's current strength, he could even kill deities. Demigod experts were like weak chickens in front of him. The resurrected expert Ming Ku was killed by him. The greater demon, Scarlet Jiao, was suppressed by him. The 3 demigod experts were all forced to flee. At this moment, he had appeared in the tyrannical Blood Plains again, but the Blood River Lord was nowhere to be seen. The result was not difficult to imagine. The Blood River Lord was either heavily injured and unable to show himself, or he was killed. Of course, the possibility of the latter was not high. Unless you were tired of living, opposing such a person would only result in death. Supremacy Tyrant Blood did not hesitate to abandon Prince Shue. Prince Shue opened his mouth wide, but no sound came out. Pung! Prince Shue's right arm exploded into a bloody mist. Su Fong, Lord Blood River Lord will not forgive you. Prince Shue's eyes were bleeding as he gnashed his teeth. Su Fong mocked, "Blood River Lord? Do you think the Blood River Lord will treat you as anything? In the eyes of the Blood River Lord, you are less than a dog." Prince Shue sneered sinisterly. "What's so shameful about being a dog for a God Realm expert? One day, you will be less than a dog, kneeling in front of the Blood River Lord, wagging your tail and begging for mercy. Is that so? Looks like I have to tell you that you don't even have the chance to be a dog anymore. The Blood River Lord has been killed by me." Su Fong's clanging voice once again caused everyone to be intensely shocked. "Venerable Tyrant Blood!" exclaimed in shock. "You killed the Azura Divine Race's experts?" Prince Shue was in disbelief at first, but then he sneered. "You think you have the qualifications to fight against Lord Blood River Lord, and even kill him? What shameless boasting! Do I need to explain myself to you? Let's worry about your life first." Su Fong sneered, and another divine aura enveloped Prince Shue's left arm. Then, the shackles suddenly contracted, and the left arm turned into a bloody mist. Puff puff puff! Prince Shue's legs first, then his body, exploded one after another, turning into a bloody mist. At this time, Prince Shue only had his head left. He was still alive, and his eyes were filled with hatred and unwillingness as he stared at Su Fong. "You planted karma in the small world, and now you have to pay back karma in the large world. What's there to be unwillingness about? Right now, in the eyes of Su Fong, you are less than an ant. You should feel honored that I am personally killing you. The karma between you and me ends here. If there is reincarnation, remember not to be so overbearing." Su Fang pointed at Prince Shui's head. An array of sword energy shot out, shooting into Prince Shui's forehead. Then, the sword energy exploded, and Prince Shui's head disappeared. Prince Shui was dead, and the grudges between Su Fang and the small world were completely resolved. Prince Shui's death caused Venerable Tyrant Blood to tremble. He was afraid that Su Fang would continue to pursue the matter and implicate him. In the large world, whoever had the biggest fist was the ruler, and reason was on their side. Moreover, this was the immortal demon battlefield, where the strong preyed on the weak. If Su Fang used this as an excuse to suppress Venerable Tyrant Blood, he would have nothing to say. The dozen or so ancient human descendants first rejoiced, then trembled with fear. They rejoiced because Prince Shui was dead, so naturally, no one would force them to hand over their clan's geniuses. They were afraid that they would be implicated and suffer an unexpected calamity. Venerable Tyrant Blood cupped his fists towards Su Fang. My traitorous disciple dared to offend the people of Su Fang. He brought this upon himself. This one did not teach properly and cannot escape blame. Please punish me, my lord. Su Fang was about to speak buzz. The perfection stage ability detected an extremely familiar aura from Venerable Tyrant Blood's past. This aura was exactly the same as the magic treasure fragment Qi Yanzi obtained in the immortal demon battlefield. Myriad manifestations, Dharma. Venerable Tyrant Blood actually had the aura of the myriad manifestations, Dharma. Yu Miaomei had fallen into a coma and might even die. Su Fang had thought of countless methods, but finally came up with the only feasible method, which was to gather the myriad manifestations, Dharma. Yu Miaomei was the treasure spirit of the myriad manifestations, Dharma. If he could gather the myriad manifestations Dharma and restore her, it would definitely be greatly beneficial to her injuries. However, the immortal demon battlefield was too large. How difficult would it be to gather the myriad manifestations Dharma? He did not expect to sense the aura of the myriad manifestations Dharma on Venerable Tyrant Blood's body. Su Fang thought for a moment, then said imposingly, "Prince Shui is your disciple. Your disciple has committed a crime, so naturally, as his master, you cannot absolve yourself from the blame." Venerable Tyrant Blood's heart suddenly sank, and a chill seeped out from his back. He smiled bitterly. No matter how the people of Su Fangdao want to punish this one will accept it. Su Fang nodded in satisfaction, then flipped his right hand, and the myriad manifestations Dharma fragment appeared in his palm. Venerable Tyrant Blood should have seen this before, right? How could the people of Su Fangda have such a miraculous treasure? Venerable Tyrant Blood was shocked. Su Fang hurriedly asked, "You've seen this magic treasure fragment before?" Chapter 1772. It turned out that the reason why every overlord in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons could become an overlord was mainly because of the Dharma treasure fragment of the nature's Dharma treasure. 8 Reading Book, Infinity. These overlords used the fragment of the nature's Dharma treasure and combined it with a formation to create a holy land for cultivation, which became the foundation of the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. Su Fang came to a realization and was shocked by the power of the nature's Dharma treasure. He admired the creator of the nature's Dharma treasure, the misty spiritual being. "I want the fragment of the treasure in the savage blood ancient plains. You won't have any objections, right?" Su Fang said domineeringly. "No objections. Why would I have any objections?" The Tyrant Blood Venerable said hurriedly. He knew that if he hesitated, he would lose his head. Although the treasure was good, he needed to be alive to enjoy it. "I will bring the people of Su Fangda to the Holy Land to get the fragment." The Tyrant Blood Venerable was very straightforward. He was about to bring Su Fang to the fragment of the nature's Dharma treasure. Just as he was about to leave, he saw the old patriarch of the Ao Tian clan from the corner of his eye. The half-blooded venerable said, Patriarch Aotion, why aren't you leaving? Are you waiting to see me make a fool of myself? Yes. The Aotion clan leader and the other clan leaders walked out of the hall. Aotion clan wait. Su Fang's perfect vision scanned the Aotion clan leader. His eyes flashed with surprise, and he called out to the Aotion clan leader. Su Fangda, what can I do for you? The Aotion clan leader's body shook. He turned around and cupped his fists respectfully to Su Fang. The Aotion clan leader looked at Su Fang in fear, afraid that a disaster would befall the Aotion clan. Su Fang waved his hand and smiled. Don't worry, Aotion clan leader. I called you because I have something to ask. Aotion Patriarch let out a sigh of relief. Please tell me. I will know everything. Su Fang said, I have an old friend called Aotion Changhen. He's also a descendant of the Aotion clan. However, he didn't grow up in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. He came from a border region of the great world. Later, he came to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. I don't know if he's still with the Aotion ancient clan. It turned out that when Su Fang saw Aotion Patriarch, he sensed a bloodline aura similar to Aotion Changhen's. He suddenly recalled that Aotion Changhen was a descendant of the ancient human race's Aotion clan. After the destruction of the Star Palace, Aotion Changhen went to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, and his whereabouts were still unknown. Dai Yi was still thinking about him and would remind Su Fang from time to look for Aotion Changhen. Perhaps Aotion Changhen had returned to the Aotion clan after coming to the ancient immortal devil battlefield. That was why Su Fang had asked, Aotion Changhen? Aotion Patriarch thought for a while and shook his head. I don't remember such a person. Su Fangda, please allow me to look for him in the clan. When he was in the Star Palace, Aotion Changhen was an elder of the Aotion Peak. Not only was he powerful, but his cultivation talent was also amazing. However, in the ancient immortal devil battlefield, his strength was nothing. Even in the Aotion clan, he was just an ordinary clan member. Although the Aotion clan had a small population, there were still more than 100,000 people. Aotion Patriarch couldn't possibly know every clan member. Go. Once you find him, bring him here immediately. Su Fang nodded. At this time, a woman's cold voice came from Su Fang's body. If I find Aotion Changhen, this bastard, I will eat him alive. It turned out that when Su Fang saw the possibility of finding Aotion Changhen, he immediately sent a message to Dai Yi, who had been cultivating in the true dragon world, who knew that it would be better if he didn't mention Aotion Changhen. As soon as he mentioned Aotion Changhen, Dai Yi immediately let out a thunderous roar and transmitted it through the true dragon world's magic treasure. Patriarch Aotion, quickly go and find him. Su Fang quickly sealed the true dragon world and smiled apologetically at Patriarch Aotion. Then, under the guidance of Overbearing Blood Venerable, he went straight to the Overbearing Blood Ancient Plane. Whoosh! Patriarch Aotion's old face was paler than a piece of white paper. Only now did he realize that the so-called old friend that Su Fang mentioned was clearly an enemy. What did this mean? It meant that the Aotion clan was about to be exterminated. The other patriarchs of the ancient clans all pulled away from Patriarch Aotion as if they were avoiding the plague. They looked at Patriarch Aotion with eyes full of sympathy. Of course, there were also some who were gloating. Su Fang followed Overbearing Blood Venerable to an ancient relic in the depths of the Overbearing Blood Ancient Plane. They passed through layers of formations and entered the depths of the sealed underground. Then, they came to an extraterritorial spacetime that had been opened by a supreme divine power. It was as if they had arrived in another world. They saw a huge material that was hundreds of miles wide floating in the misty, chaotic atmosphere. The natural spiritual chi in the material was incomparably abundant. It was completely different from the chaotic atmosphere of the ancient immortal demon Great War. The ground was covered with tall, lush ancient plants that covered the entire continent. Su Fang grabbed a handful of soil and found that the natural energy contained in the soil was also incomparably shocking. He could not help but be shocked. Streams converged from the forest to the central area and flowed into a lake that was thousands of feet wide in the center. Overbearing Blood Venerable brought Su Fang to the lakeside and landed. Su Fang was shocked to find that the stones and sand by the lakeside were not ordinary materials. They were spiritual stones and minerals that contained an astonishing amount of natural energy. As for the water in the lake, a large proportion of it was the spiritual liquid formed by the liquefied spiritual energy. As expected of the cultivation holy land of the overlord forces of the ancient immortal demon battlefield. Even the heavenly mandate Haotsang sect didn't have such a cultivation environment. Although the Sky Thunder Hall was a bit better than this place, its area was far inferior. Su Fangda, the magical treasure fragment, is in the spiritual lake. I will take it out and give it to my lord. After overbearing Blood Venerable formed a seal, he suddenly separated his hands. The lake water roiled and forcefully separated into two sides, revealing the bottom of the lake. At the center of the lake, there were layers of ancient formations. In the middle of the formations, there was a semicircular bronze fragment that was about 1 meter in size. It was many times larger than the fragment that Qi Yanzi had obtained. The fragment was engraved with exquisite and translucent patterns that looked like clouds stacked on top of each other. The patterns were of stars, clouds, various mythical beasts, birds, and beasts. A rainbow light flashed and emitted a mysterious and ancient aura. With his perfect vision, Su Fang could see that with the help of the array formations around him, the fragment of the 10,000 manifestations of Dharma released a mysterious divine aura that shrouded the entire material continent. The chaotic aura around the material continent was converted into natural spiritual energy under the miraculous and powerful force, as well as all kinds of physical particles that landed on the material continent. Obviously, this 100-kilometer-wide material continent did not originally exist. It was with the help of the fragment of the heavens Dharma that it released a divine aura that transformed the chaotic aura into matter. Back then, the misty spiritual master used the heavens Dharma in the depths of the void galaxy. In the void galaxy there was nothing in the void galaxy. In the end, he built a planet in the void. I originally had some doubts about the description in the misty spiritual master's handwritten note. Now it seems that the wonders of the heavens Dharma are far beyond my imagination. Su Fang looked at the fragment of the heavens Dharma with great shock. Buzz buzz buzz. The purple Qi Dharma spirit in Su Fang's inner world trembled and erupted with a huge commotion. It was as if it wanted to rush out of his inner world. Ever since the purple Qi Dharma spirit matured, it had not shown such excitement even when it encountered a divine weapon. However, a fragment of the heavens Dharma spirit actually caused such a huge commotion. It was clear how extraordinary the fragment of the heavens Dharma spirit was. Venerable Tyrant Blood hesitated for a moment, his eyes filled with regret. Then, he formed a seal and the array around the heavens Dharma spirit shattered layer by layer. Then, Venerable Tyrant Blood released a divine aura that wrapped around the fragment of the heavens Dharma spirit and sent it to Su Fang. This treasure is a gift to the people of Su Fangda as an apology. After losing the fragment of the heavens Dharma spirit, the heaven and earth spiritual Qi in the tyrannical blood ancient planes would gradually dissipate and return to a state of equilibrium with the heaven and earth. Naturally, the Holy Land could no longer be called a Holy Land. Although Venerable Tyrant Blood was very reluctant and his heart was bleeding, he had no choice but to hand over the fragment with both hands. This was the outside world. The strong preyed on the weak. As long as one was strong enough, even killing others for their treasures was a matter of course. The heavens Dharma spirit was extremely important to Su Fang, so he naturally wouldn't be polite. He directly kept the fragment into his inner world and said, "Venerable Tyrant Blood, you don't have to feel sad. Although this treasure fragment can create a holy land, at your level of cultivation, it won't be of much use to your cultivation." Venerable Tyrant Blood smiled bitterly and said, "The people of Su Fangda are right. This treasure fragment won't be of much use to me. However, after the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains lost their holy land, their overall strength will definitely drop. Now that the resurrected experts are getting stronger and stronger, there are also other overlords who are eyeing the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains. I'm worried." Su Fang waved his hand and said domineeringly, "You don't have to worry about the resurrected experts. I will go to the resurrected experts, old man, and eliminate all the demigods and peak Dao realm experts among them. I will eliminate all future threats for the outside world. As for the other overlords, I will also take all the treasure fragments in their hand." Just like the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains, they lost their holy land of cultivation. What can they use to compete with the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains? Venerable Tyrant Blood was shocked. How domineering was it to sweep through the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons? How powerful was that? No matter how many resurrected experts there were, they wouldn't be a problem if they lost their peak experts. Chapter 1773. Next, Su Fang's eyes flashed as he glanced at Venerable Tyrant Blood. He wanted to say something but stopped himself. Venerable Tyrant Blood thought that Su Fang was going to make some request and immediately became nervous. He quickly said, "If Su Fangda has something to say, please speak your mind." Su Fang said calmly, "Then I will speak frankly. I can see that Venerable Tyrant Blood's cultivation foundation is very solid and your talent is extraordinary. It is not impossible for you to reach the deity realm. However, you put your energy into managing the forces in the Tyrant Blood Ancient Plains. The gains do not make up for the losses. If a cultivator is addicted to power, how can he climb to the peak of cultivation? In the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, it was either humans eating humans or being eaten by humans. Cultivators, demons, and resurrected experts. If I did not have a powerful force, how could I reach my current height? After I became the overlord of the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons, I put all my focus on cultivation. Who knew that the world would change one after another and I would be trapped in the demigod realm, unable to take another step forward? With my current realm, I do not have the courage to take the risk of going through the path to the end of the world. I can only sit in the outside world and wait for the day of my death. Either my lifespan will be exhausted or I will be killed by resurrected experts. The latter is more likely. If I had the chance to ascend to the deity realm, why would I sit in the outside world and wait for death? Previously, the Blood River Lord sent a message to the demigod experts in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons to deal with Su Fang. He promised to give them a chance to ascend to the deity realm. Those demigod experts rushed like ducks because of this. If I did not already know that the Azura God clan was an anomaly in the deity realm and that they were bloodthirsty, even if I obeyed his orders, he would not fulfill his promise. He might even devour my blood essence to recover my divine power. Otherwise, I might have joined the other demigod experts and gone to the ancient battlefield of demons to deal with Su Fangda. In addition, I already know about the miracles of Su Fangda in the immortal domain. I know that you are a peerless character with great fortune. Even the Blood River Lord wouldn't be able to suppress you. That's why I'm not moved by the Blood River Lord's conditions. Who would have thought that I would be able to escape this calamity? If I had gone to the ancient Fey realm, the people of Su Fangda would not have spoken to me so amiably. Venerable Tyrant Blood let out a long sigh. As he spoke, his eyes were filled with relief and fear. Su Fang pondered for a moment and said, "Once I'm done with the matters of the great world, I will head to the end of the great world, to the myriad heavens divine world. If you are willing, you can come with me." Due to the changes in the heavens and earth, it's impossible to reach the true God realm in the great world. However, once I reach the myriad worlds, it'll be easy. Venerable Tyrant Blood was stunned. Soon after, a frightening light blossomed from his eyes as he said in a trembling voice, "Is what Su Fangda said true?" Su Fang said indifferently, "Is there a need for me to lie to you? Besides, there are countless dangers at the end of the world. One more person means one more power. I thank the people of Su Fangda in advance." Venerable Tyrant Blood was very excited. His eyes flickered with a strange light as he looked at Su Fang with eyes full of hope and gratitude. Being immortal and indestructible was the ultimate goal of every cultivator. At Venerable Tyrant Blood's level, power, fame, and fortune were all unimportant. The most important thing was to take that final step and become a supreme god. Then, one could go to the legendary myriad worlds. Even if one couldn't become immortal and indestructible, they would have an endless lifespan. Due to the changes in the heavens and earth, the hope of ascending to the myriad heavens divine world had almost been completely cut off. At this moment, Su Fang had given Venerable Tyrant Blood this hope. Moreover, this hope was very likely to be fulfilled. How could he not be excited? Naturally, Venerable Tyrant Blood was moved to tears by Su Fang's actions. The bit of hatred he felt for losing the myriad manifestations Dharma had long since been tossed out of his mind. You will be cultivating in seclusion for the next few days. When I decide to go to the end of the world, I will inform you in advance, Su Fang said, nodding. Next, Su Fang brought out a storage ring and handed it to Venerable Tyrant Blood. These are yin-yang immortal sky pills. They will be of considerable help to your cultivation. Consider them as compensation for taking away your magic treasure fragment. Try to improve your strength. That way, you will have a greater chance of ascending to the divine world. Venerable Tyrant Blood's consciousness checked the storage ring. There were 100 king-grade yin-yang immortal sky pills and 1,000,000 peak-grade yin-yang immortal sky pills. Sensing the abundant power of the world of yin and yang within the pills, Venerable Tyrant Blood was pleasantly surprised. Venerable Tyrant Blood estimated that although these pills couldn't help him break through the shackles and reach the God realm, they could at least improve his cultivation by a step. Venerable Tyrant Blood's gratitude towards Su Fang grew even stronger. His fear and apprehension towards Su Fang had completely turned into respect. In the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons where the strong preyed on the weak, even if Su Fang killed him and took away his magic treasure fragment, he could only accept his fate. He never thought that Su Fang would actually exchange it with pills and give him a chance to become a divine stage cultivator. How could he not be excited? Su Fang said, "Let's go. There should be news from the Proud Heavens clan soon." Venerable Tyrant Blood led Su Fang out of the underground space of the ruins. As he left, he asked in a fawning manner, "May I ask Su Fangda, did someone from the Proud Heavens clan offend your friend? Should I send someone to exterminate the Proud Heavens clan?" Exterminate the Proud Heavens clan? Su Fang was taken aback. Then, he smiled and said, "No need. That person from the Proud Heavens clan is not my enemy. He is a senior that I used to respect. However, he has some personal grudges with another friend of mine." I see. Venerable Tyrant Blood secretly decided that before he left the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plane and went to the end of the world, he would find a way to make the Proud Heavens clan a top force in the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plane. Just as Su Fang received the Universal Dharma Fragment, outside the palace where he had killed Prince Shui, the Proud Heavens clan leader and a dozen other people from the Proud Heavens clan knelt on the ground. Every one of them had a look of despair on their faces, as if the end of the world had arrived. An elder behind Elder Eotian gritted his teeth and said to a middle-aged man kneeling beside him, "Proud Heavens Zhonghen, if I had known that you would bring disaster to the Proud Heavens clan, I would have suppressed you the moment you came to the Proud Heavens clan." This middle-aged man from the Proud Heavens clan was the Proud Heavens Peak Elder of the constellation of 9 Heavens, Proud Heavens Zhang Hen. After thousands of years, Proud Heavens Zhang Hen's face was weathered and his hair was white. However, he exuded an air of arrogance, like a flying sword that had been sharpened. Judging from his aura, his cultivation had reached the level of a saint immortal. Even the previous leader of the Star Palace had not reached such a level. Proud Heavens Zhang Hen felt wronged. Great Elder, I came to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons through the ancient space formation left behind by Proud Heaven's ancestor. Then, I returned to the Proud Heavens clan. It has not even been 10,000 years. How can I bring disaster to my clan? I would like to ask you, how did a lowly saint immortal like you manage to provoke a supreme expert that even the tyrant Blood Venerable was afraid of? If I had known that you were such a jinx, I would not have taken you in. The elder from the Proud Heavens clan snorted coldly. I wonder who this supreme existence is? Proud Heavens Zhang Hen racked his brains but could not figure out when he had offended such a supreme expert. One could only imagine the frustration in his heart. The Star Palace had been destroyed by Ning Hades and Huayan Shinrikyo. Proud Heavens Zhang Hen had brought his 2 disciples, Hen Buhui and Jun Bujian, out of the encirclement. They were prepared to leave the immortal region and head to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons to find the inheritance of the Proud Heavens clan. In the ancient times, the Proud Heavens clan was a powerful clan of the human race. They had built space formations in every immortal region. Their clansmen could find the space formations through the power of their bloodline and the secret skills they had inherited. The desolate immortal region was no exception. Proud Heavens Zhang Hen had thought that the Proud Heavens clan had disappeared in the long river of history. Since he was too weak, he had no intention of going to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. Since the Star Palace had been destroyed, Proud Heavens Zhang Hen could only take the risk. He had found the ancient space formation in a dangerous place. He did not expect that it could still be used. What was even more unexpected was that he, Hen Buhui and Jun Bujian had entered the Proud Heavens clan through the ancient teleportation formation to the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. After Proud Heavens Zhang Hen had recognized his ancestors and returned to the clan, he had received the inherited skills of the Proud Heavens clan. Naturally, his cultivation speed was shocking. He had reached the immortal Emperor realm in a few thousand years. However, Proud Heavens Zhang Hen's life in the Proud Heavens clan was not good. He was a descendant of the Proud Heavens clan's branch in the desolate immortal region. His strength was not considered strong in the Proud Heavens clan. Naturally, his position in the Proud Heavens clan was not high. He was at the bottom of the hierarchy. Jun Bujian and Hen Buhui, the 2 disciples, had followed Proud Heavens Zhang Hen. They were no different from slaves in the Proud Heavens clan. Their lives were very miserable. It was only when Proud Heavens Zhang Hen had reached the Saint Immortal realm and displayed his extraordinary talent in cultivation that the 3 of them gradually improved their lives. Who would have known that the good days would not last long before an unexpected disaster would befall him? The clan leader had personally shackled him and brought him to the most powerful place in the tyrannical blood ancient plane. However, Proud Heavens Zhang Hen did not know who he had offended. Not only him, but the entire Proud Heavens clan would be implicated. They might even be exterminated. How could he not be depressed? The supreme expert you have offended is called Su Fang. He is a top expert in the great world. He can kill demigods as easily as killing chickens. Even the Azura Divine clan's experts from the divine world were killed by him. Young Master Shui had offended him in the past. He killed young Master Shui in front of the tyrannical Blood Venerable. How could our clan afford to offend such a peerless expert? Think carefully about where you offended Su Fangda and how you offended him so that you can salvage the situation later. The clan leader of the Proud Heavens clan, who was kneeling in front of him, said in a deep voice, Su Fang? A top expert in the great world? He can kill demigods as easily as killing chickens. Chapter 1774. The proud Heavens clan's great elder couldn't help sucking in a cold breath when he saw Ao Tianchang's hateful expression. Looks like you really did offend Master Su Fong. You damn star of calamity, lowly ant. You actually offended such a peerless person. 88 Read 2334. Ao Tian clan leader's heart sank to the bottom. His eyes were filled with despair as he sighed. Ao Tian Zhanghen, try your best to beg the people of Su Fangda later. With the strength of Su Fangda, they might not do anything to you. The great elder gritted his teeth and said, Young Master Shui had a feud with the people of Su Fangda in the small world. The people of Su Fangda still haven't forgotten to take revenge. How could they be merciful? Ao Tian Zhanghen, kill yourself later so that Ao Tian clan won't be implicated. Ao Tian Zhanghen, why are you acting dumb? Did you hear what I said? Ao Tian Zhanghen came to his senses after hearing the great elders shout. He asked the clan leader, what does Su Fangda look like? What did he say about me? Ao Tian clan leader described Su Fang's appearance and said, Actually, it's not that the people of Su Fangda have a feud with you. Instead, they said that you're an old friend of his. However, a woman in the Tao artifact space in his body spoke. She seemed to have a deep hatred for you and wanted to kill you to vent her hatred. Buzz buzz buzz. Ao Tian Zhanghen's head buzzed again. Su Fang. It's really him. The woman who has a deep hatred for me is most likely Dai. Ao Tian Zhanghen could now conclude that the peerless existence that Ao Tian clan leader was talking about was the disciple of Huang Fu Dojo of Star Palace. However, Ao Tian Zhanghen found it hard to believe that Su Fang could become a top expert in the big world in just a few thousand years. He could even kill a peerless expert in the realm of gods. At this moment, Senior Ao Tian, how have you been? Senior, why are you kneeling? A burst of laughter was heard. Who else could it be but Su Fang? Su Fang, it really is you, ha ha. Ao Tian Zhanghen was startled. Then, he stood up from the ground. Su Fang, kid, the clansman of the proud Sky Clan, from the patriarch to the great elder to the other high-ranking members, felt as if thunder had exploded in their heads. They were scared out of their wits. The great elder's vision turned black as he fell to the ground. Whoosh! Su Fang's figure suddenly appeared outside the palace from a certain space in the world. He waved his hand and released a wave of divine power, which helped all the people of the proud Sky Clan stand up. Senior Proud Heaven, I didn't expect to see you here. Su Fang looked at Proud Heaven Zhanghen, feeling very happy. I never thought that it would really be you. Moreover, I never thought that an ordinary disciple of Star Palace back then would actually become a supreme existence in the big world in just a few thousand years. Ao Tian Zhanghen was both surprised and delighted. He was filled with emotions. The people of the proud Sky Clan were shocked at first. Then they were overjoyed. The great elder, who had just woken up, saw that not only was Ao Tian Zhanghen not an enemy of Su Fang, but Su Fang even respected him. When he thought of the benefits that the proud Sky Clan would receive because of this, the great elder swayed and almost fainted from joy. Then, Su Fang asked, Senior Proud Heaven, why don't I see Senior Jun Jian and Senior Hen Buhui? The patriarch of the proud Sky Clan knew about the two disciples of Ao Tian Zhanghen. Before coming here, he had personally ordered them to be imprisoned. When he heard Su Fang's question, the patriarch of the proud Sky Clan was shocked. He quickly ordered the great elder, go and invite young Master Jun Jian and young Lady Hen Buhui over. The dizzy great elder looked at Ao Tian Zhanghen. At this moment, in his heart, Ao Tian Zhanghen was not the bane of the proud Sky Clan. He was clearly the savior of the proud Sky Clan, a great lucky star. After giving Ao Tian Zhanghen a flattering smile, the great elder hurriedly left with the higher-ups of the clan. Su Fang then said to Ao Tian Zhanghen, Senior Dai is in the world of my magical treasure. She has always been worried about you. When Star Palace was destroyed, she risked her life to sneak into Star Palace to find out about your whereabouts. She was almost killed by the Huayan Shinrikyo cultivators. Ao Tianzhonghen's eyes were filled with guilt. I am sorry. I let her down. Back then, I let her down. Su Fang smiled and said, Senior, you had no choice back then. It is not too late to make up for it. I will release Senior Dai now. Her temper is not very good. Senior Ao Tian, please be patient. Women, after all, can be coaxed with a few sweet words. No matter how great the hatred is, it will all disappear. Ao Tianzhonghen's face turned red. I am afraid that she will not forgive me. I hurt her too much back then. After she escaped from the seal, she even asked you to enter Proud Sky Peak and burn her head. I am afraid that she only has hatred for me now. There is no trace of old feelings. Su Fang released Dai Yi from the true dragon realm. When she saw Ao Tianzhonghen, the rims of Dai Yi's eyes immediately turned red. Who knew that in the next moment, Dai Yi's eyes were filled with anger. She let out a thunderous roar filled with resentment. Ao Tianzhonghen, 100,000 years ago, you personally sealed me in front of countless disciples of the constellation of 9 heavens. You were loyal to me, but you mercilessly broke the promise you made to me. You bastard, I have finally found you. See if I don't pull out your tendons and skin you alive. Boom! Dai Yi's anger turned into billowing waves of demonic energy that swept towards Ao Tianzhonghen. But Ao Tianzhonghen did not move at all. He allowed the demonic energy to hit his body. Dai Yi was from the spirit race. Her cultivation talent was far superior to other demons. During her years of cultivation in the true dragon realm, Su Fang had provided her with a large amount of resources to help her cultivate. She was now at the level of a demon emperor. Her strength was far superior to Ao Tianzhonghen's. Dai Yi had used all her strength in this attack. Ao Tianzhonghen's body was sent flying and he spat out a mouthful of blood. When the demonic energy around him dissipated, his entire body was covered in a bloody mist. His aura had also withered. Dai Yi was stunned. She immediately shouted coldly, Why didn't you attack? Ao Tianzhonghen's mouth continued to bleed, but he still smiled. For the sake of the sect, I personally sealed you for 100,000 years. I have let you down. If I can die in your hands, it will more or less resolve the resentment in your heart. Don't think that I won't attack you just because you didn't fight back. Ao Tianzhonghen, my hatred for you can only be appeased with your life. Dai Yi's face was filled with ferocity. She exploded her demonic energy again and hit Ao Tianzhonghen's body. The violent demonic energy swept away all the flowers and plants outside the palace. Ao Tianzhonghen was sent flying again. His body was covered in blood and his aura had withered. Dai Yi was still angry. She continued to bombard Ao Tianzhonghen with demonic energy again and again. Su Fangda, what do you think? Ao Tian clan leader understood the grudge between the two from their conversation. He worriedly asked Su Fang. He was worried about Ao Tianzhonghen because he was concerned about the Ao Tian clan. If Ao Tianzhonghen died, where could he find Su Fang to back him up? It's fine. It's best if he dies. Su Fang said calmly. Ao Tian clan leader was stunned. Dai Yi looked at Su Fang and shouted, Brat, what did you say? Su Fang touched the tip of his nose and said with a smile, Senior Ao Tian let you down too much. Even if he dies, he can't repay you. If Senior wants to kill Senior Ao Tian, please move to another place. This is the overbearing blood venerable's place. Senior destroyed his flowers and plant. I can't explain it to him. Dai Yi was startled. She snorted and said, Brat, you asked me to kill him. I won't kill him. Isn't it too easy to kill him like this? I'll seal him and slowly torture him for 100,000 years. I'll let him have a taste of being sealed. Dai Yi released a wave of demonic energy and shackled Ao Tianzhonghen. She was about to fly out. When she was in the air, Dai Yi seemed to have thought of something. She said to Su Fang, "Give me your pills. It'll be a pity if this bastard dies like this." Su Fang laughed in his heart and took out a storage ring. It contained a large amount of yin-yang immortal sky pellets and other pills. It should be enough for Ao Tianzhonghen to recover. Dai Yi put the storage ring into her body and left with Ao Tianzhonghen. Ao Tian asked, "Su Fangda, what should we do if Ao Tianzhonghen is killed by that butterfly demon? Does Ao Tian clan leader not know the meaning of beating and scolding? Don't worry, Senior Ao Tian will be fine. Plus, we'll be waiting for their wedding." Su Fang chuckled. Dai Yi risked her life to find Ao Tianzhonghen's whereabout. From this, one could see how important Ao Tianzhonghen was to her. How could she be willing to kill him? The 9 Heaven Star Palace had been destroyed long ago, so the hatred in Dai Yi's heart had mostly dissipated. Just now, when she attacked Ao Tianzhonghen, she had been holding back. She didn't use any divine ability, otherwise how could Ao Tianzhonghen still be alive? Dai Yi had vented her hatred in front of Ao Tianzhonghen. What was left was love. It was only natural that the two of them would be reunited. The only thing Su Fang was worried about was that Ao Tianzhonghen wouldn't have an easy time with such a hot-tempered spirit tribe partner like Dai Yi. Su Fang stayed in the tyrannical blood ancient plains for the time being. On one hand, it was for Ao Tianzhonghen. On the other hand, it was to deal with the fragments of the Vientiane Dharma. Su Fang placed the 2 fragments of the Vientiane Dharma into his inner world. Then, he used the ethereal true record and combined it with the formation to activate the Vientiane Dharma's ability to convert matter into reality. In the chaotic inner world, he condensed matter. Su Fang's inner world had just been born. It would take tens of thousands of years for it to become like nature and form galaxies and stars. With the Vientiane Dharma, this process could be shortened to the extreme. Su Fang wanted to use the Vientiane Dharma to condense stars in his inner world. He could even move the entire square heaven great world into his inner world. However, that would have to wait until his inner world grew to a certain level. Chapter 1775. The fragment he obtained from the savage blood ancient plains was several times larger than the one he obtained from Chiyenzi. +8+8+ and read plus and book. Osu Fang placed the 2 fragments beside Yu Miaomei. After sensing the aura of the 10,000 mammoth Dharma, Yu Miaomei's primordial spirit consciousness, which had fallen into a deep slumber, was visibly stirred. Although it was unable to awaken Yu Miaomei, it proved that Su Fang's previous speculation was correct. It seems that the only way to awaken Yu Miaomei or even recover is to gather all the fragments of the 10,000 mammoth Dharma. There's also Luo. The last time he burned his primordial spirit origin, his primordial spirit was severely damaged. Now he's getting weaker by the day. I can't even stop his primordial spirit injuries from worsening, let alone recover. The injuries of the green-feathered demon emperor, Bai Ling, Li Haojie, and other powerful big goblin experts were still manageable. If he spared no expense and spent a long time, they would slowly recover. Yu Miaomei and Luo's injuries made Su Fang extremely worried. Yu Miaomei's situation was more or less manageable. As for Luo, Su Fang was helpless. Su Fang could not catch up to Luo's current level. Even if Su Fang wanted to help, he could not do anything about it. 3 days later, with the help of the 10,000 mammoth Dharma fragment, Su Fang condensed a 10-foot large object in his inner world. He then created a formation and placed Yu Miaomei around the fragment. Ao Tianzhonghen and Dai Yi also came to meet him. Although the 2 of them did not look like they were in love, at least they did not have a deep hatred and irreconcilable hatred like before. Seeing the 2 of them, Su Fang's mood was much better. He asked Ao Tianzhonghen, "Senior Ao Tian, what do you plan to do next?" I've decided to stay in the Proud Heavens clan and cultivate the legacy techniques of the Proud Heavens clan. Once I'm done, I'll return to the constellation of 9 heavens. Although the constellation of 9 heavens had been destroyed, the remains of the Star Palace had been moved to the Square Heaven World by Su Fang. Many old friends of the Star Palace were still there. Since Audiobook had returned to the Square Heaven World, Su Fang did not say anything more. It's good that Senior Proud Heaven has made such a decision. Su Fang nodded and then asked Dai, Senior, you must want to continue cultivating in the Zhenlong realm, right? Dai glared at him. Brat, you're doing this on purpose, right? It wasn't easy to find that bastard Proud Heaven. In my next life, I'm definitely going to eat him up. No matter where he goes, I'm going to pester him. I'm going to make it so that he won't be able to live peacefully for the rest of his life. What's the point of staying with you? Could it be that you have some improper thoughts about me? If revenge breeds revenge, will there ever be an end to it? Su Fang sighed. Audiobook laughed heartily. He was very happy in his heart. Dai also smiled. She looked at Audiobook with eyes full of tenderness and love. The man and the demon had finally come to an end. Su Fang was very envious. I wonder when I'll be able to see Xuanxin again. Next, Su Fang gave Audiobook and Dai each a Dao weapon. They were both king-grade Dao weapons. These 2 Dao weapons were obtained by Su Fang from killing demigods and peak Dao realm experts over the years. Although they were not as good as the Xianming Thunder Archive, the Underworld Reincarnation Sword, or the Xianjia Gate, they were still very rare and powerful magic treasures in the Great World. Su Fang had originally planned to leave a large amount of cultivation resources for Audiobook and Dai, who knew that the Tyrant Blood Venerable would take the initiative to give them a large amount of resources. This amount of resources was comparable to all the resources of a mid-level cultivation force in the Great World. It was extremely generous. At the same time, the Tyrant Blood Venerable also promised to find ways to support the Outyin clan. Even if they could not become the overlord of the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains, they would be able to become a first-rate force among the many ancient clans. Because of Audiobook, the Outyin clan could be said to have reached the heavens in a single step. They had even planned to let Audiobook be the young clan leader of the Outyin clan. However, Audiobook did not hesitate to reject. When they were in the Star Palace, Audiobook and his 2 disciples were the only ones in the proud Sky Peak. They were like a general without an army. They would not be greedy for power. Now that they had Dai by their side, why would they care about the position of the young clan leader of the Outyin clan? After settling Audiobook and Dai, Su Fang had fulfilled one of his wishes. After bidding farewell to the 2, Su Fang left the tyrannical Blood Ancient Plains. Let's start with the Heavenly Incense Ancient Realm. Su Fang's next target was a material plane called the Heavenly Incense Ancient Realm. The Heavenly Incense Ancient Realm was an overlord force in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. It was even stronger than the tyrannical Blood Ancient Realm. It was the first overlord force established by the human tribe in the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. The overlord of the Heavenly Incense Ancient Realm was the skinny old man from the human tribe, who had followed the orders of the Blood River Lord to attack Su Fang in the ancient realm of demons. His name was Heavenly Incense Daozu. He was also an extremely powerful demigod expert. However, he was nearing the end of his lifespan and was not far from death. Su Fang shuttled through layers of nature energy and looked at the great war of immortals and demons. The heavenly trenches and chaotic spacetime were formed. A vast land appeared before him. The Heavenly Incense Ancient Realm. The chaotic power of nature formed a series of storms that swept around the material plane. The entire continent looked like an incense burner that was floating in the midst of chaos. The entire heavenly fragrance ancient realm was filled with a boundless and ancient aura. There was also a strong murderous aura. Waves of storms swept over, and one could faintly hear the cries of battle and the sounds of intense battle. It was like the echoes of the ancient war between immortals and demons, and it still reverberated between heaven and earth. The heavenly incense ancient realm was extremely vast. It was almost the size of a major world. However, there were not many cities on the ground. Su Fang's great perfection realm vision could only see ruins and relics. These were all created by the great war of immortals and demons. In the sky and on the ground, resurrected cultivators, big goblin, and demons could be seen everywhere. There were so many of them, and they were so powerful that even Su Fang was shocked. On the way to the depths of the heavenly incense ancient realm, Su Fang encountered a huge skull that was almost the size of a star. He also encountered a withered vine that was lying on the ground like a mountain range. When Su Fang passed by, the withered vine suddenly attacked Su Fang. If it wasn't for Su Fang's life-shrinking art and heaven's divination mystic unraveling art, which allowed him to sense danger in advance, he would have died here. Only now did Su Fang have a deeper understanding of how powerful ancient beings and strange creatures were, as well as the dangers of the ancient immortal demon battlefield. However, in the midst of great danger, there were also opportunities. Along the way, Su Fang's purple chi Dharma spirit was constantly active. It sensed the ancient Dharma treasures hidden deep in the ruins or in the chaotic spacetime. Su Fang spent a lot of effort and obtained 7 ancient Dharma treasures. Although they were incomplete, it was an unexpected gain for Su Fang. Su Fang did not lack Dharma treasures. His gain was the purple chi Dharma spirit. The purple chi Dharma spirit devoured the weapon spirits and ancient aura of these ancient Dharma treasures and clearly became stronger. With the constant transformation of the purple chi Dharma spirit, its appetite was getting bigger and bigger. Other than the artifact spirit of the divine artifact, it wouldn't make any movements at all for ordinary Tao artifacts. However, it didn't mind these ancient Dharma treasures and almost didn't reject any of them. For me, the ancient immortals and demons battlefield is full of treasures. After the purple chi Dharma spirit devoured the weapon spirits of the ancient Dharma treasures, it trembled with excitement and became stronger bit by bit. Su Fang was very happy. At this time, the purple chi Dharma spirit was not only able to control Dharma treasures, devour weapon spirits, and bring about supreme luck, but it also had an important function for Su Fang. The purple chi Dharma spirit merged into the inner world, causing Su Fang's inner world to have the same luck as the heavenly Tao. This kind of luck accelerated the transformation of the inner world, and Su Fang's strength naturally increased as well. Su Fang deliberately slowed down and released the purple chi Dharma spirit's ability to interact with Dharma treasures with the help of the inner world to sense the ancient Dharma treasures and then devour them. Buzz buzz buzz. When passing through a ruin, the purple chi Dharma spirit suddenly burst into a big movement. In these ruins, one could faintly see the outline of a huge immortal city. It was obviously a large-scale immortal city in ancient times that was destroyed in the Great War of Immortals and Demons. In the central area of the immortal city, there was an unfathomable canyon that divided the immortal city into two. It was actually an ancient mighty person who used a supreme magical power to split the immortal city into two halves with a sword. In the canyon, there was a constant stream of spatial turbulence that swept up broken Dharma treasures, spiritual objects, and incomplete bones. The cause of the purple chi Dharma spirit's explosion came from the depths of the spatial turbulence. Obviously, there was an ancient Dharma treasure inside the canyon that made the purple chi Dharma spirit excited. However, on both sides of the canyon, there were tens of thousands of cultivators, demons, and big goblin. Whenever a treasure spurted out, it would cause a crazy scramble and even a big fight. Strangely, there were hundreds of white-robed cultivators floating in the air. There was a purple incense burner pattern on their white robes that was formed by Tao patterns. Obviously, they were from the same force. These white-robed cultivators watched as the cultivators, great demons, and devils below fought over the treasures. They weren't interested in the treasures. Instead, they held a jade slip in their hand. It looked like they were recording the treasures that each cultivator had snatched. Whoosh! Another explosion of spatial turbulence swept out the skeleton of a giant that was hundreds of feet tall, and it once again caused many treasure hunters to scramble for it. / buzz. The purple chi dharma spirit moved. This giant skeleton was also a great treasure for a cultivator, but the dharma spirit of purple cloud was not interested in a skeleton. It turned out that what caused the purple chi dharma spirit to move was a huge dark golden armband on the giant's right arm. Although it looked a little shabby, it exuded a majestic ancient aura. It was obviously an extraordinary dharma treasure. Since I've encountered a treasure, if I don't take it, it will definitely damage my luck. Su Fang did not hesitate to teleport toward the canyon and appeared in the air above it. Chapter 1776. Su Fang was surprised. You have to pay celestial stones to search for treasures? Naturally, you don't have to pay celestial stones to search for treasures in other places of the primordial battlefield. However, in the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, not only do you have to pay celestial stones, but you also have to pay 70% of the treasures you find to the heavenly fragrance's holy sun. If you want to search for treasures without paying celestial stones or don't want to hand over the treasures you find, you'll have to pay with your life first. The white-clad cultivator sneered in a domineering manner. Su Fang smiled faintly and charged toward the spatial turbulence. Every time there's a treasure in the single-sword gorge, there will be some who are not afraid of death. They're willing to throw away their lives just to save a few celestial stones. You're the first one, the white-clad cultivator said with a cold smile. Then, he activated a sword ray and attacked Su Fang like a tidal wave. The other white-clad cultivators watched this scene with a smile. They had no intention of lending a hand. The white-clad cultivator's strength was at the 8th Tao Saint Celestial Realm, but Su Fang's aura was only at the 3rd Tao Saint Celestial Realm. Naturally, he did not need anyone's help. Boom! A 9th Tao Saint Celestial Realm aura exploded from Su Fang's body. Moreover, it was not an ordinary 9th Tao Saint Celestial Realm aura. The white-clad cultivator with the 8th Tao Saint Celestial Realm was sent flying like a straw in the wind. His body and bones were shattered, and he was severely injured. Moreover, Su Fang had shown mercy. Otherwise, with Su Fang's current strength, just the divine perception contained within his gaze was sufficient to kill a Saint Immortal Realm cultivator, let alone exploding out with an imposing aura. Someone dares to attack a subordinate of the heavenly fragrance's holy sun in the heavenly fragrance ancient realm? This person must be tired of living. Not only were the white-clad cultivators stunned, but the other treasure hunters also looked at Su Fang in disbelief. Some of the more cowardly ones even left the gorge, afraid that they would be implicated by Su Fang. You're courting death. Hundreds of white-clad cultivators shouted angrily. They cast their divine abilities or activated their Tao artifacts and charged toward Su Fang aggressively. Don't force me to kill. Scram! Su Fang shouted coldly and waved his sleeve behind him. He stirred up the power of the world and formed a shocking storm that swept backward. Boom! Boom! The white-clad cultivators were like a pack of hungry wolves pouncing on a sheep. The storm swept them away and their tide-like auras were shattered. They were like leaves blown up by a gust of wind to fly over 50 kilometers away, all of them coughing out blood. Tao Realm. This man is an immortal venerable. He hid his strength and came here to snatch the treasure. It doesn't matter if he's a Saint Immortal or a Tao Realm expert. Even if he's a peak high-level Tao Realm expert, only death awaits him for daring to snatch the heavenly fragrance's holy sun's treasure. It's not that there are no Tao Realm experts among the cultivators seeking treasures. There are even peerless experts at the mid-stage of the Tao Realm. They also have to abide by the rules of the heavenly fragrance's holy sun. Those who don't follow the rules will die. The injured cultivators in white were both fearful of Su Fang and gnashed their teeth. They took out talismans and contacted the experts of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm to come and help. Su Fang flew toward the giant's skeleton. The moment they saw Su Fang, the cultivators, big goblin, and demon race cultivators who were fighting over the treasure all dodged to the sides as if they had seen the plague. In the blink of an eye, there were only a dozen or so cultivators left around the giant's skeleton. "The treasure is mine." Su Fang attacked in a domineering manner. Then, he struck out with a giant claw that shone with golden light. The terrifying aura that seemed to tear apart the heavens and the earth shook the dozen or so cultivators to retreat. Su Fang took advantage of the situation and went forward to put the giant's skeleton into the sky-burying underworld coffin. This giant was an expert from a powerful race in the ancient times. He had fallen in a great battle. The fact that his skeleton could be perfectly preserved in the turbulent flow of space showed how shockingly hard it was. It was not much different from a King Grey Dao artifact. It was an excellent material for refining Dao artifacts and was very valuable. It was no wonder that so many treasure hunters were scrambling for it. To Su Fang, the value of the giant's skeleton was not great. However, the majestic death chi contained in the skeleton was of great use to the undead king. Therefore, he directly threw the giant's skeleton to the undead king to cultivate. The armband magic treasure on the skeleton was severely damaged and was not very useful. Su Fang sent it into his inner world to let the purple Chi Dharma spirit devour the original spirit of the armband magic treasure and the ancient aura it contained. Su Fang snatching the giant's skeleton from the hands of a dozen or so cultivators was tantamount to snatching food from the mouth of a tiger. They immediately roared in anger and charged toward Su Fang. Unexpectedly, Su Fang directly plunged into the turbulent flow of space and flew against the current, toward the depths of the canyon. Not only does the single-sword canyon have terrifying turbulence of space that can make cultivators lose their ability to sense their direction, but it also has an astonishing natural chaotic force of heaven and earth, as well as the residual power of ancient battles. Even Dao realm cultivators who enter will not return. This person dares to go against the current and enter the canyon. Could it be that this kid is tired of living and came to the single-sword canyon to seek death? The dozen or so cultivators all stopped, not daring to pursue. Su Fang slightly activated the power of his inner world, forming a protective barrier around his body. He calmly traveled through the terrifying turbulent storm, as if he was outside of this world. The terrifying turbulence that even Dao realm cultivators could not pose any threat to him. Ancient magic treasures, spiritual objects, and the bones of powerful cultivators were constantly swept out by the turbulence. Su Fang directly used the power of his inner world to collect the magic treasures that could cause the purple Chi Dharma spirit to move, or some of the more precious spiritual objects, or the bones with a strong death aura. As Su Fang went deeper and deeper, his harvest became more and more abundant. He went all the way to the depths of the canyon and came to the source of the turbulence. In the depths was the natural danger zone of heaven and earth where the spatial tide surged. Although Su Fang was not afraid, he did not want to take the risk for some broken magic treasures, so he returned to the outside of the canyon. In the sky above the canyon, a young cultivator in white stood with his hands behind his back. This person had a handsome face and a gentle temperament. He looked like an elegant young master with a noble temperament. His strength was also quite extraordinary, having reached the midstage of the Dao realm. Behind him were a dozen or so cultivators, all of whom were in the Dao realm. One of them was an elder who was at the peak of the high stage of the Dao realm. After hearing the white-robed cultivator's report, the white-robed young cultivator said calmly, "This person dares to enter the single-sword canyon, so his strength is indeed extraordinary. He either has a supreme divine ability or a peerless Dao artifact. However, even a demigod cultivator has to follow my rules in the heavenly incense ancient realm." Since this person does not know the rules, I will teach him the rules later. The white-robed young cultivator's casual tone revealed a supreme domineering aura. Even a demigod cultivator was not in his eyes. This person was the heavenly incense holy son of the heavenly incense ancient realm, the only descendant of the heavenly incense Daozu. The heavenly incense holy son's words made many heavenly incense ancient realm cultivators smirk coldly. They looked at the chaotic streams in the canyon like a group of hunters waiting for their prey to appear. About 10 days later, whoosh, Su Fang slowly flew out of the canyon. The harvest this time could be said to be quite bountiful. The purple Chi Dharma spirit in his inner world had undergone a transformation. Once he activated his inner world, mysterious purple Chi would fill the space with a supreme heavenly Tao luck. After fusing the purple Chi Dharma spirit with his physical body, every corner of his flesh, bones, and meridians was filled with the purple Chi Dharma spirit's mysterious purple Chi. The purple Chi space in the depths of his body had become deeper and wider. The purple Chi Dharma spirit's origin spirit, Azi, had also become more real and had more spirituality and wisdom. Su Fang speculated that if he continued to devour artifact spirits, the mature purple Chi Dharma spirit would have more room for improvement. The ability to control artifacts would also bring Su Fang more luck and fortune. It might even give birth to a new ability. However, if the purple Chi Dharma spirit wanted to evolve further, it would have to absorb the primordial purple Chi produced when a divine artifact was born, or devour the artifact spirits of divine artifacts, or some powerful ancient Tao artifacts. Moreover, the amount of primordial purple Chi Dharma spirit required was extremely shocking. I can put the matter of the purple Chi Dharma spirit aside for now. My goal in the heavenly incense ancient realm is the heavenly incense Daozu, and I also want to obtain the myriad phenomena Dharma treasure fragment. Su Fang planned to leave the canyon and head deeper into the heavenly incense ancient realm. You injured my subordinates and snatched my treasures, and you want to leave just like that? The heavenly incense holy son flew over with many expert. Heavenly incense holy son? Su Fang scanned the heavenly incense holy son with his great perfection ability. He sensed that this person had the same aura as the heavenly incense Daozu. He guessed that this person should be a descendant of the heavenly incense Daozu. Even when searching for treasures in the heavenly incense ancient realm, one had to pay immortal stones and treasures. From this, Su Fang deduced that this person was definitely a descendant of the heavenly incense Daozu. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Su Fang's great perfection ability allowed him to see through the heavenly incense holy sun. He immediately saw that there was a black flying sword in this person's body. Furthermore, the purple Chi Dharma spirit also sensed the existence of the flying sword, causing a huge commotion. This flying sword exuded a sacred aura that made people feel awe-inspiring and not dare to violate it. It was a sacred aura that made people worship it fervently. This flying sword was clearly extraordinary. It was not a peak supreme grade Tao artifact or a king grade Tao artifact but a divine artifact. Furthermore, the heavenly incense holy son's white Taoist robes, boots, the jade pendant hanging from his waist, the necklace around his neck, and the thumb ring on his hand were all king-grade Tao artifacts. He was simply like a treasure shelf. I can capture the heavenly incense holy sun and lure the heavenly incense Daozu out. This saint of myriad treasures not only has these extraordinary Tao artifacts and divine artifacts, but he also plundered the heavenly incense Tao realm. He must be filthy rich. He is simply a fat sheep that cannot get any fatter. Su Fang licked his lips, and a bright light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Su Fang's gaze made the heavenly incense holy sun feel like he had been seen through. Every pore on his body felt uncomfortable, and he immediately revealed a look of hatred. The heavenly incense holy sun turned to a middle-stage Tao realm expert behind him and said, "Capture this person. Be careful. This person is not simple. No matter how extraordinary he is, Can he be stronger than a demigod expert? Chapter 1777. Kid, hurry up and kneel down and apologize to the saint. The middle-aged cultivator sneered as he unleashed the terrifying aura of a mid-level Tao realm expert and charged toward Su Fang. He didn't intend to use any divine ability or Tao artifact. Instead, he used the aura of a Tao realm expert to suppress Su Fang. A mid-level Tao realm cultivator is already an ant-like existence in my eyes, Su Fang sighed inwardly. Then, he unleashed the blood chi of his perfection stage physical body and charged toward the middle-aged cultivator. In an instant, the middle-aged cultivator felt as if he was facing an ancient divine beast. The majestic aura formed by the explosion of blood chi shattered his aura and gave him the terrifying feeling of being swallowed by a monster. His entire body trembled, and his heart was filled with an instinctive fear. He even found it difficult to circulate his true chi. Boom! Su Fang punched the middle-aged cultivator's chest. He didn't use true chi or any divine ability. Instead, he used the strength of his perfection stage physical body and punched out with a simple and unadorned punch. The middle-aged cultivator's chi field and flesh fetus divine armor defense were as weak as paper and instantly shattered. Then, his physical body exploded and turned into the tiniest wisps of blood chi. The heavenly fragrances saint and his many subordinates were all shocked and surprised. They had never imagined that this ordinary-looking cultivator would have such a powerful physical body. They had never even heard of such a terrifying physical body in the great world. Even ancient cultivators with physical bodies couldn't destroy a mid-level Tao realm expert with a single punch. Su Fang flew toward the heavenly fragrances saint unhurriedly. The heavenly fragrances saint remained calm and said indifferently in a domineering manner, "Interesting. It's a pity to kill him. Or should I suppress him and turn him into a slave and place him in the heavenly fragrance city's beast fighting arena to fight with the ferocious beasts? He will definitely earn a lot of money for me. Letting him live is also the saint's kindness." The peak high-level Tao realm old man next to the heavenly fragrances saint smiled coldly and cast a shocking seal. A divine statue quickly condensed in front of Su Fang. This divine statue was 1,000 feet tall. It had a dignified face and a sacred aura. This wasn't a real Buddha statue, but a divine ability condensed from the laws of the great Tao. The old man's great Tao was very strange. Facing this statue, Su Fang couldn't help but feel reverence and submission. He even had an impulse to worship the statue. This feeling was like a mortal facing an immortal. His only thought was to bow down and offer everything he had, including his life, without any regrets. There was no will to resist at all. "The great Taos of cultivation are countless," Yang Qi said. "I've seen countless great Taos, as well as divine abilities and energy arts derived from them. But this is my first time seeing a great Tao like this. The heavenly incense ancient realm is definitely something special. However, it's merely extraordinary. This divine ability can only frighten those ordinary people, but if you want to suppress my Su Fang, it's truly a bit laughable." Su Fang sneered disdainfully as the aura of a sovereign exploded from his body. Following that, mysterious golden emperor's seals appeared on Su Fang's body. They didn't interweave to form a defense similar to the flesh fetus divine armor. Instead, they flew out of his body and condensed above his head, quickly forming a figure. The figure wasn't tall, only 10 feet tall. It wore a golden robe and carried a supreme emperor's divine might. Its aura contained a supreme domineering and sovereign aura. Boom! 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 The two divine auras clashed, creating a series of loud explosions. Crack! 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 Cracks appeared on Su Fang's divine emperor statue. Even its aura was shattering layer by layer. A physical body cultivator actually cultivated the Tao of emperors? The old man was surprised. Then, he sneered disdainfully. Once the heavenly incense divine statue appears, all living things will bow down to it. Even emperors will have to submit. My heavenly incense divine statue is formed by absorbing the power of faith. In the heavenly incense ancient realm, it's second only to Lord Daozu. A lowly low-level cultivator like you wants to fight against my heavenly incense divine statue? So the cultivators of the heavenly incense ancient realm cultivate the divine powers of the Tao of faith. No wonder I can sense the power of faith from the cultivators of the heavenly incense ancient realm. Su Fang came to a realization. Although the Tao of faith is extraordinary, in front of me, it's no different from those evil cultists who swindle and deceive people in the mortal world. Su Fang had the divine emperor's aura and the purple cloud Dharma spirit that could bring about supreme luck. In addition, he had the heavenly secret life shrinking technique that specialized in restraining fate and faith. Su Fang was the least afraid of the various divine powers formed from the power of faith. I am the Overlord, and my will surpasses the heavens. I want you to perish, and you shall cease to exist. I want you to shatter, and you shall cease to exist. Overlord's mantra. Su Fang first activated the purple cloud Dharma spirit, and a shocking divine emperor's aura exploded. Even the will of the heavenly Tao had to submit to this supreme domineering aura. Next, Su Fang used the Overlord's mantra, the Overlord's mantra. Ever since Su Fang left the desolate immortal region where the square heaven great world was located, he had not used this divine ability for a very long time. A powerful will descended and covered the entire area. This will was above the will of the heavenly Tao. Su Fang's every word was like an absolute ruler. If the emperor wanted his subject to die, the subject had no choice but to die. The emperor's words were the golden rule, and anything would immediately become a reality. If he wanted you to live, you would live. If he wanted you to die, you would die. Boom, 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 boom. Under the collision, the flames of faith burned. The aura of the divine statue shattered layer by layer until it finally shattered. Poof! The old man's divine ability was broken. Under the powerful impact of Su Fang's Overlord's will, his will collapsed and his Tao heart shattered. Su Fang was like an emperor who controlled everything on behalf of the will of the heavenly Tao. He calmly walked out and stretched out a finger to tap the old man's forehead. The old man had already lost all will to resist. He could only watch as Su Fang's finger fell. A surge of yin and yang world power struck the dermic power C in his divine aperture, and his head exploded like a watermelon. A peak Tao realm expert was easily killed by Su Fang. Su Fang's current strength was so powerful. The cultivators of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, as well as the tens of thousands of cultivators who came to search for treasures, the big goblin and the demon race experts, were all shocked and dumbfounded. You dare to kill my subordinate? The heavenly fragrances saint stood firm and shouted at Su Fang domineeringly. Su Fang was stunned. He wants to kill me. Can't I kill him? This is the heavenly fragrance ancient realm. Only I can kill others. How can others kill my subordinates? The heavenly fragrances saint said. His logic was obviously extremely absurd, but it sounded as if it was right and proper when he said it. So you're an idiot. Su Fang was stunned speechless. Your logic is unobstructed in the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, but it won't work in front of me. Su Fang sneered and grabbed the air. The heavenly fragrances saint flew uncontrollably toward Su Fang, and Su Fang grabbed him by the neck. The heavenly fragrances saint was a mid-level Tao realm cultivator, but he was just a good-looking but useless idiot. He was grabbed by Su Fang like a chicken and could not resist at all. The experts beside the heavenly fragrances saint retreated far away and shouted at Su Fang angrily. They threatened him, but no one dared to approach. Don't you dare lay a finger on this saint. Do you know who I am? I am the only descendant of the heavenly fragrances Daozu. If you dare to touch my head, the Daozu will skin you alive. The ignorant were fearless, and the heavenly fragrances saint was fearless. He looked at Su Fong with disdain. "I will never touch your finger." Su Fong chuckled and activated the purple aura Dharma spirit to sweep the saint of many treasures. Under the purple aura Dharma spirit's supreme divine might, all the Dharma treasures on the saint of many treasures flew out of his body. Su Fong naturally would not be polite. He took all the Dharma treasures on the saint of many treasures and burned them with the 9-sun celestial fire, incinerating the saint of many treasures. How could a spoiled brat like the heavenly fragrances saint of many treasures be forcefully stripped from his body? He immediately bled from his 7 orifices and fainted. Su Fong kept all the Dharma treasures in his body and searched the heavenly fragrances saint from inside out. In the end, he found over 100 storage rings on the saint of many treasures. Inside the storage ring, there were countless ancient Dharma treasures, ranging from Dharma treasure fragments to king-grade Dharma treasures. Almost everything was there. Su Fong was shocked. The heavenly fragrances saint was not only arrogant and domineering, but he was also a perverted madman who collected all kinds of treasures. As expected of the saint of many treasures, he actually collected so many treasures on him. With so many treasures, I don't need to continue searching for treasures in the ancient era's immortal demon battlefield. When the purple aura Dharma spirit devours so many treasures, it might undergo a great transformation. Su Fong happily put away the storage ring. Then, he sent the heavenly fragrances Holy Sun into his internal world. With Su Fong acting so unbridled, he was no different from a robber who killed others to steal their treasures. In the ancient era's immortal demon battlefield, killing others to steal their treasures was not uncommon. However, one would not be able to find a robber who dared to steal the heavenly fragrances saint's treasures even if one searched the entire ancient era's immortal demon battlefield. Su Fong was definitely the first. The heavenly fragrances saint's subordinates roared angrily. However, none of them dared to step forward. This was just a bluff. The treasure hunters were also shocked. The smarter ones immediately left Single Sword Canyon to avoid being implicated when the heavenly fragrance Daozu arrived. Su Fong flew to the side of the canyon and sat down cross-legged. This person is very arrogant. Not only did he kill a powerful expert of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm and steal the heavenly fragrances saint's treasures, but he even shackled the heavenly fragrances saint. To think that he still dares to stay here. 88s. Perhaps this person has a powerful background, a powerful expert supporting him. That's why he is so arrogant and overbearing. In the outside world, how many people can surpass the heavenly fragrance Daozu? Moreover, this is the heavenly fragrance ancient realm. With the support of a deity, it would be difficult to contend against the heavenly fragrance Daozu. The heavenly fragrance Daozu pampers the heavenly fragrances saint so much. This person actually dared to shackle the heavenly fragrances saint. Just wait to be suppressed by the heavenly fragrance Daozu. The whispers of the crowd reached Su Fong's ears. Suddenly, Chapter 1778. A strange wisp of smoke spread out from the void and quickly condensed into the figure of an old man. 8 square root read square root book, 230 greater or equal to. Not only was this old man's aura empty, but his figure also gave off an ethereal feeling that he was beyond this world. However, this old man's face was withered and his life force was withering. At a glance, it was obvious that his lifespan was nearing its end. Heavenly fragrance Daozu. The cultivators of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm all looked at the old man with fanaticism in their eyes. The other treasure hunters were also in awe and did not even dare to breathe loudly. The heavenly fragrance Daozu cupped his fists at Su Fong and said, "Su Fong, I did not expect you to be able to escape the pursuit of the Blood River Lord from the deity world. You are the #1 cultivator in the great world." Wow! The cultivators of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, the treasure hunters, the big goblin, and the demon race all exclaimed in surprise. They did not know what had happened in the ancient demon world, and did not even know the name Su Fang. However, the heavenly fragrance Daozu's words were so shocking. How powerful was the #1 cultivator in the great world to be able to escape the pursuit of the deity world's top cultivator? They did not expect this inconspicuous cultivator to be a top-notch expert. They could not help but tremble. They had just mocked and ridiculed Su Fang. If they angered this peerless expert, he could easily destroy them with a single move. Yet, they had actually dared to mock him. They were really courting death. The heavenly fragrance Daozu continued, Su Fang, I know that you came to the heavenly fragrance ancient realm to take revenge for the ancient demon world's attack on you. My junior was young and ignorant and offended you. With your current strength, why lower yourself to the same level as a junior? Su Fang released the heavenly fragrance saint from his inner world. A divine aura swept him over to the heavenly fragrance Daozu's side. The heavenly fragrance saint looked as if his savior had arrived. He proudly and arrogantly pointed at Su Fang and shouted, With my ancestor here, let's see how arrogant you can be. Today, I'm going to, without waiting for him to finish speaking, the heavenly fragrance Daozu took him back into her body, for fear that he would anger Su Fang again. In the ancient Fey realm, this Daozu was threatened by the Blood River Lord and had no choice but to attack you. This Dao ancestor is willing to compensate and apologize to you. Then, heavenly fragrance Daozu bowed to Su Fang. Her expression and tone were very sincere. Everyone was once again incomparably shocked. In the heavenly incense ancient realm, the heavenly incense Dao ancestor was a high and mighty overlord, a godlike existence. In the entire outside world, the heavenly incense Dao ancestor was absolutely a supreme existence. At this moment, he was actually apologizing humbly to a young cultivator. What kind of unimaginable thing was this? From this, it could be seen how powerful Su Fang was. Su Fang said domineeringly, If I had been killed by you that day, you would be holding my treasures, resources, and the Blood River Lord's reward and celebrating, right? You tried to kill me, and now you want to get away with a simple apology? Heavenly fragrance Daozu, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? When you were weak, they would bare their fangs at you. When you were strong, they would immediately change their faces and bow down to you. The outside world was so realistic. Su Fang had never shown mercy to those who wanted to kill him. How could he be moved by the heavenly fragrance Daozu's words? The heavenly fragrance patriarch was still very sincere. This Daozu was in the wrong first. If you have any conditions, feel free to state them. Su Fang was overbearing as he said coldly, The Dharma treasure fragment in the heavenly fragrance ancient realm's holy land and your life. The heavenly fragrance Daozu's face darkened. He said coldly, Su Fang, don't go too far. The other cultivators felt that Su Fang was too domineering, overbearing, and unforgiving. Heavenly fragrance Daozu, when you tried to kill me, did you think about going too far? Su Fang snorted disdainfully at the heavenly fragrance Daozu's words. If it weren't for his subordinates who fearlessly stepped forward to stall for time, Su Fang's inner world would have been born and reversed the situation. Not only would Su Fang have been unable to escape this calamity, but his subordinates, the big goblin, his father, relatives, friends, and clansmen would have either died or become slaves. Their fates were miserable. For this reason, Su Fang had paid a heavy price. His friends and subordinates had suffered heavy casualties. Many of the junior commanders who had followed him from the inner world until now had fallen. If he let the heavenly fragrance Daozu go now, he would not hesitate to bare his ferocious fangs and ruthlessly tear off a piece of flesh from Su Fang's body. He would even crush Su Fang's throat and suck Su Fang's blood dry. How could Su Fang possibly have a trace of leniency? The heavenly fragrance Daozu gritted his teeth and said, Su Fang, the resurrected experts are running rampant day by day. The calamity is sweeping across the outer world. I am a top expert of the human race. If you kill me, it will be no different from destroying your own Great Wall. During the Immortal Domain's Great War of the Immortals and Demons, you risked your life to save the immortal Tao world. Why would you do such a thing to weaken the human race's power for some personal grudges? Su Fang said indifferently, since you say so, there's no harm in sparing your life. If you submit to me and become my slave expert, I can spare your life. Submit to you? The heavenly fragrance Daozu laughed wildly. This Daozu has dominated the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons for tens of millions of years. How could I submit to a brat like you? Isn't that laughable? I've already given you a way out. Since you don't want to submit, then let's fight. You know that you are no match for me, yet you still dare to show yourself. You must have something to rely on. Take it all out, Su Fang said domineeringly. This Daozu was indeed somewhat afraid of you in the ancient Fey realm. Why would this Daozu be afraid of you in the heavenly fragrance ancient realm? After the heavenly fragrance Daozu formed a hand seal, a purple Xian Guang soared into the sky and formed a huge incense burner above his head. This was clearly not an ordinary incense burner, but a divine magic treasure. It exuded a mysterious and sacred aura. Next, the heavenly fragrance Daozu formed another hand seal and spat out a mouthful of blood. It quickly condensed into a blood-red incense stick 1 foot long. It drew a bloody arc in the air and stabbed into the incense burner. Boom! Green smoke rose from the incense burner, and a strange fragrance filled the air. A vast aura swept out in all directions and merged with the power of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm. Then, a sacred and majestic aura descended. In an instant, the entire heavenly fragrance ancient realm became the heavenly fragrance Daozu's world. He was the supreme god of this world. Everything in the world had to bow down to him and offer him their fanatical faith, including their lives and everything in the Big Goblin. The tens of thousands of cultivators who came to the Single Sword Gorge to search for treasures, as well as many Big Goblin and Demon Clan cultivators, were momentarily dazed. Then, a fanatical light burst out from their eyes as they prostrated themselves on the ground and worshipped the heavenly fragrance Daozu. Believe in this Daozu and you will have eternal life. Su Fang, why aren't you kneeling? This Daozu will grant you immortality and indestructibility. The heavenly fragrance Daozu's majestic voice reverberated between heaven and earth. It was as if he was the only voice and will in the entire world. The voice attacked Su Fang's primordial spirit, and a strong urge to kneel and worship surged from the bottom of his heart. His eyes gradually became dazed, and then fanatical. The heavenly fragrance Daozu's Tao of heavenly fragrance was a type of great Tao of faith. This purple incense burner was a supreme divine artifact. At this moment, the heavenly fragrance Daozu was borrowing the power of the divine artifact to fuse the will of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm with the supreme divine ability of faith and the power of the divine artifact. It released a supreme divine aura that made everything in the world bow down to him. Even gods would be affected. Although Su Fang's primordial spirit was powerful and he had a second primordial spirit, compared to the heavenly fragrance Daozu, the divine artifact, and the will of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, he was unknowingly affected and controlled by the heavenly fragrance Daozu. The heavenly fragrance Daozu shouted domineeringly, Su Fang, why aren't you opening your divine aperture and offering everything you have? Boom! A powerful will descended on Su Fang's body. His body swayed, and his legs bent as if he was about to kneel before the heavenly fragrance Daozu. Su Fang, you are indeed extraordinary, but how can you resist the will of the divine artifact and the will of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm? Once I've shackled you, this Daozu will further train you into a powerful battle slave. At that time, this Daozu will sweep across the great world and become the peerless overlord of the entire great world. The heavenly fragrance Daozu's skinny face revealed a smug smile. The power of faith released by the heavenly incense Tao ancestor, as well as the world will of the heavenly incense ancient realm and the divine power of the incense cauldron divine artifact, constantly battered the depths of Su Fang's young immortal in an attempt to control his consciousness. Suddenly, buzz, buzz, buzz. Mysterious runes flashed from the depths of Su Fang's young immortal, and they quickly turned into the ethereal power of destiny. Swish, swish. The power of destiny came into contact with the heavenly fragrance Daozu's divine aura and burned it layer by layer, turning it into ashes in an instant. Su Fang's will immediately awakened, and he couldn't help but be shocked. The heavenly fragrance Daozu was able to dominate the ancient battlefield of immortals and demons. As expected, he has extraordinary divine abilities and Dharma treasures. I was almost controlled by his divine aura. I have the protection of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. Even the will of the heavenly Tao can't suppress me. I am above all beings and can deceive destiny. The more faith I have, the more it will be crushed. How can I be suppressed by the faith and will of the great world's cultivators? Su Fang snorted inexplicably, and then he activated the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. I control destiny and control the heavens. If I am the overlord, all the worlds will bow before me. Tao runes of destiny surged out of his mind, and wherever they went, whether it was the heavenly fragrance Daozu's divine abilities, the will of the heavenly fragrance ancient realm, or the power of the divine artifact, they were all burned into nothingness. They couldn't resist the power of destiny of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. Heavenly fragrance Daozu, you've used up all your tricks. It's my turn now. Sharp killing intent flashed in Su Fang's eyes. The power of destiny protected his body, burning away the suppression of the world's will. Then, he took a step forward, crossing several hundred li of space to arrive in front of the heavenly fragrance Daozu. You. How can you escape from this Daozu's divine ability? The heavenly fragrance Daozu, who had been feeling smug just a moment ago, fantasized about the wonderful future after suppressing Su Fang, suddenly changed. First, it was shocked, and then its eyes were filled with fear. Boom!